Chapter 780. In the region of the 9 immortality bells, blazing flames soared as all sorts of weaponsmithing cauldrons appeared, floating in the air, shining with resplendent light. Naturally, there were also geniuses who weren't weaponsmiths. They were proficient in divine inscriptions and could sense the runic light emanating from the 9 immortality bells, forming a connection with them. Hence, they quietly sat before the 9 immortality bells, attempting to form a connection with them. Among these people, there were many who originated from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture. What powerful flames! Many of them are exceedingly rare flames. In fact, there are even some that were refined by experts using immortal flames. In the air, resplendent immortal light flashed. The Immortal Foundation experts all had immortal halos around them. Their eyes gleamed with sharpness as they stared at the geniuses forging weapons. Pei Tianyuan, Ji Kong, the Drift's now master and the others stood together. Beside them, there were experts from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture. This time around, the Jiang clan seems to place more importance on this compared to the Wondergate Immortal Manor. The number of people from the Jiang clan is even greater. Pei Tianyuan glanced to the side. The experts from the Jiang clan formed a group. Their gazes landed on Jiang Yen and the other experts. At this moment, the flames Jiang Yen controlled shimmered with a treasured light, exuding a hint of coldness. This type of flame was known as the Netherfrost flame, and its destructive power was extremely strong. Just being touched by it would cause injuries. A few disciples from the Wondergate Immortal Manor came, as well as a few elders. Their numbers are far inferior compared to the Jiang clan. Pei Tianyuan turned his gaze to Sharon. Sharon's flames were golden in color, and his eyes also gleamed with a hint of gold. The flames enveloped the forging materials, resembling a terrifying golden lotus. As it opened and closed, a fiery heat gushed forth. Their control is so precise. Seems like the weaponsmithing techniques of these geniuses are extraordinary. Ji Kong mumbled. Other than the disciples from the Jiang clan and the Wondergate Immortal Manor, there were also many other outstanding weaponsmiths. Qin Wentian was still in front of the 8th ancient bell with his eyes closed. The runic light in the air flowed about in the darkness, hidden in formlessness, converging into a mysterious energy that revolved around the 9 immortality bell, transforming into law energy that directly seeped into the ancient bell. In an instant, Qin Wentian's will seeped in and another city appeared before him. This time around, Qin Wentian saw the Drifts Now In. The Drifts Now In of the past was even more beautiful compared to the Drifts Now In today. Although the mountain range and buildings were roughly the same, the loneliness and emptiness of the mountain made it seem like a paradise on earth. Snowflakes drifted about, the Drifts Now In was filled with desolation, causing one to feel a sense of desolation and loneliness. What was even more shocking was that in the middle of the Drifts Now In, a beautiful silhouette could be seen quietly lying there. She was clad in a beautiful long dress, resembling a fresh flower in full bloom. Amidst the boundless white snow, she exuded a poignant beauty. As the snowflakes landed on her body, they swiftly melted away. The eyes of that beautiful silhouette were still open, with a poignant smile on her face. On the mountain rampart beside her, a row of graceful words could be seen. Refining one city to spend the rest of my life, the Lord is unwilling, I can only do it personally. Unfortunately, the heavens do not grant my wish. In the place of love, in the Drifts Now In, the Lord shall take one last look at the beauty. The graceful words contained a sense of desolation. At this moment, the mountain range trembled, the air trembled, the snowflakes stopped drifting down, and time seemed to have stopped. On the stairway leading to the Drifts Now In, the silhouette of a handsome young man was trembling as he walked step by step towards the withered body of the beauty. Both his hands and legs were trembling, a look of terror could be seen on his handsome face, as though he was currently enduring an extreme agony. Finally, he arrived at the side of the beauty. With a thud, both his legs couldn't stand stably as he fell to the ground. His hands trembled, wanting to stretch out his arms, yet he didn't dare to do so. The corners of his eyes were red as blood flowed out. Such pain, to him, was simply too cruel. Immortal Jade, why? Why are you so cruel? The voice of the handsome young man trembled. As the sound of his voice faded, the snowflakes in the air shattered as the mountain range trembled. I said I wanted to refine a city, I would accompany you to traverse thousands of rivers and rivers, refining this city for you. I even wanted to bring you to roam the world, admiring the beautiful sceneries of the world. But why are you so stubborn, unwilling to roam the world with me? As the young man spoke, blood flowed from the corners of his eyes, as though he was in extreme agony. It was just a small dispute, why must you punish me like this? The Drift's now master stretched out his trembling hands, gently caressing the face of the beauty. But at this moment, at the instant the Drift's now master touched her, the body of the beauty actually transformed into a beam of white light, becoming illusory. The countenance of the young man trembled as his body trembled even more violently. The beautiful eyes of the illusory beauty stared at the Drift's now master as a gentle smile appeared on her face. That smile seemed to contain all the love in her life. After which, her illusory body transformed into smoke, dissipating into the air. The young man stretched his hands out, yet he had no way to grab hold of anything. His countenance turned even paler, without the slightest hint of blood. Arg! The young man howled in agony, the snowflakes frenziedly crumbled, the space around him seemed to be on the verge of shattering. Using your body to refine a city? Do you really want to refine a city for the rest of your life? Why must you be so cruel to me? The young man, the Drift's now master, howled in agony, enduring the boundless agony. His gaze stared ahead, there was a city that he and Immortal Jade had created. The cold wind danced as the snowflakes drifted down once more. The hair of the Drift's now master turned white, he stood there alone, staring at the city. Over there, the woman he loved was buried. The scene dissipated, gradually turning blurry. In the external world, Qin Wentian opened his eyes, feeling a sense of disappointment and frustration in his heart. Seems like the legends recorded in the ancient records are slightly different from the events that happened back then. Qin Wentian mumbled. Immortal Jade used her life to refine a city, it wasn't because she had a deep obsession with weaponsmithing. Rather, it was because her love for the Drift's now master was so deep that it was engraved into her bones. She hoped to spend the rest of her life in this city, and wasn't willing to follow the Drift's now master to roam the world. The ideals of the two of them clashed, resulting in a conflict. Only then did Immortal Jade use her body to refine the city. The Drift's now master only cast a final glance at her before he vanished into thin air. Within the 9 immortality bells, the scenes played out one by one. Within these ancient bells, the story of the Drift's now master and Immortal Jade was recorded. There's only one more bell left. Qin Wentian silently mused. He stood up and moved towards the direction of the final bell. At the same time, the geniuses had already entered a state of concentration. Resplendent light flashed in the air, and the divine weapons of many experts were already taking shape. These weaponsmiths had already separated themselves from the embryonic form of the weapon. Low-level weaponsmiths could only use the embryonic form, but once they reached a certain level, they would have to separate themselves from the embryonic form. To refine a divine weapon, the 9 immortality bells have to manifest its spirit. One has to borrow the power of the runic inscriptions and infuse the spirit of the 9 immortality bells into the weapon. An expert in the air spoke, reminding the geniuses below that they shouldn't just immerse themselves in forging weapons. This time around, by forging divine weapons in front of the 9 immortality bells, they would be able to truly comprehend the secrets within. If not, if they simply wanted to forge divine weapons, why would they need to come here? Wouldn't it be better to do it in a sect? Blazing flames soared up into the sky, as the resplendent flames burned even more intensely. Resplendent light illuminated this entire space, causing the spectators from afar to exclaim in admiration. Jiang Yen and Sharon are truly impressive. The divine weapons they forged should be close to the level of immortal-ranked divine weapons. The spectators commented as they stared at their forging. There are also experts from the Jiang clan, Wondergate Immortal Manor, Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor, Myriad Sage Academy in Nine Peak Immortal Court. All of them are extremely powerful. The gazes of the crowd turned to the others. These people were all extraordinary in terms of weaponsmithing, extremely terrifying. However, Qin Wentian didn't have the time to care about all these. At this moment, he came to the final 9 immortality bells and sat there quietly, as though he had entered a state of oblivion. He started to form a connection with the runic inscriptions within, trying to comprehend the marvelous law energy contained within. The countless runic inscriptions, in the eyes of Qin Wentian, weren't independent existences. They were a complete entity. The runic light shone resplendently as the runic inscriptions on the 9 immortality bells started to flow. It was as though the runic inscriptions on the ancient bells were wriggling as they flowed together with the runic inscriptions. Under the guidance of this law energy, Qin Wentian's will entered the final 9 immortality bells. The Drifts Now Master was still sitting in the Drifts Now Inn. After a long time, he stared at the city before him as though he was in a daze, sinking into boundless guilt and pain. Since you are so stubborn, I shall accompany you until you grow old. The Drifts Now Master stared at the snowflakes that filled the sky as he spoke in a low voice. I originally roamed the world, pursuing a supreme existence. Yet because of the punishment you gave me, I have to bury my bones here. 1,000 years later, would there still be people who would know of me, the Drifts Now Master? After speaking, the Drifts Now Master's body abruptly expanded, transforming into a primordial giant that was tens of thousands of meters tall. It was as though even the ancient city before him wasn't much bigger than him. Immortal Jade, since you are willing to bury your bones here, I shall accompany you, using my body to refine this city. The Drifts Now Master spoke in a melancholic voice. He stretched out his hand, allowing the snowflakes in the air to land on his palm. Roar! With a howl of rage, the Drifts Now Master's body expanded once again, growing even larger, as though he was about to reach the heavens. Immortal Jade, why must you do this? Punish us? The Drifts Now Master howled in rage. His body continued to expand explosively, reaching a height of 100,000 meters, his head truly towered over the heavens. Every drop of his tears flowed like rivers, merging into the air, transforming into mist, transforming into snowflakes, drifting down with the wind. I will use my body of flesh and blood to refine this city. The Drifts Now Master's body circulated with terrifying runic light, it was as though his body had transformed into a weapon. Divine light flashed, incomparably resplendent. His body expanded once again, and with a thunderous boom, he transformed into a rain of blood and flesh, falling down from the sky. Every drop of blood and flesh merged into the ancient city below, permeating into the earth. The runic light was still as bright as ever, illuminating the entire land. Go! The Drifts Now Master took out the 9 immortality bells and tossed them into the 9 directions. He then spoke, this bell chime shall guard this city. When I think of you, the bell chimes will ring out. As the sound of his voice faded, the soul of the Drifts Now Master wanted to drill into the 9 immortality bells. The entire city was trembling, runic light flashed as every corner of the city radiated boundless resplendent light. Chapter 781. The Drifts Now Master used his body to refine the city. Qin Wentian's heart trembled, he personally witnessed how the Drifts Now Master refined city was destroyed. That 100,000-meter tall body of the Drifts Now Master was akin to an ancient fiend god. His entire body shone with resplendent light, as though his body was a divine weapon forged from the heavens. However, the Drifts Now Master refined city had actually destroyed his entire body, fusing it into the city. At this instant, the entire city was illuminated by runic light, as though it was undergoing the refinement of the Drifts Now Master. This entire city was about to become a creature of flesh and blood. The 9 immortality bells were the spirits of this city because the Drift's Now Master's soul had been infused into them. The 9 immortality bells would often manifest its spirit, and every time it did so, it meant that the Drift's Now Master was thinking of Immortal Jade. The Drift's Now Master was willing to give up his life for Immortal Jade. From this, one could very well imagine how deep his love for her was. Immortal Jade was the same as well. She wasn't willing to follow the Drift's Now Master to roam the world, and only wished to spend the rest of her life in Smelting City, accompanying the Drift's Now Master. It couldn't be said that she didn't love the Drift's Now Master. It was just that their methods of love were different, and their ideals were different. This kind of divergence actually resulted in a tragedy. One couldn't help but to sigh. They were both lovers, yet they chose to walk the path of sorrow. A single wrong thought could cause them to be unable to spend the rest of their lives together. Sometimes, a slight difference in ideals could result in such terrifying consequences. It could be sung, it could be moved to tears, yet it was also lamentable. The world is boundlessly vast, yet I'm not fated to walk down this path. I, the Drift's Now Master, have pursued this path my entire life, yet I'm bound by love. I'll spend the rest of my life here, accompanying Immortal Jade in this city that we used our lives to refine. The voice of the Drift's Now Master reverberated through the air. It was unknown who he was speaking to. After my death, this city would surely be coveted by others. In order to prevent those who are too powerful from coming here, I shall use the chimes of the bells as a guide, allowing the 9 immortality bells to lead the way. The voice of the Drift's Now Master drifted through the air, filled with helplessness. The 9 immortality bells don't question immortals. If one day, there's someone who can connect to immortality through weapon forging, he would be able to obtain this city. At that time, you can be considered half a disciple of mine. Help me protect this city from destruction. As this voice rang out, the ancient city below began to shine even brighter. It was as if it was an incomparably large treasure. Dong! The sound of a bell suddenly rang out, reverberating in the empty ancient city for a long time. When the bell chimes rang out, it was the moment when the Drift's Now Master missed Immortal Jade. He had just sacrificed his life to refine the city, but he already started to miss Immortal Jade. He would accompany Immortal Jade by her side, protecting this city. The two of them sacrificed their lives to refine this city. Boom, boom, boom. The 9 bells rang out one after another, as though there was no end to it. It was so loud that it could shatter the souls of those who heard it. But when Qin Wentian heard the never-ending chimes, he only felt an ache in his heart, as though the emotions in his heart were stirred up. Thump, 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 the bell chimes seemed to never be extinguished. The longing of the Drift's Now Master was boundless. Boom! In the external world, the chime of a bell suddenly rang out, startling Qin Wentian awake. He opened his eyes and sat there as he sighed in sorrow. The bell chimes are ringing. Qin Wentian mumbled. He inclined his head only to see the 9 bells resonating at this moment. Beams of resplendent light flashed as they linked together, causing boundless runic light to circulate as the 9 bells merged into one. The weaponsmith's eyes gleamed with sharpness as their spirits soared. They frenziedly drew the energy from the 9 immortality bells to refine their divine weapons. The divine weapons they forged all began to glow with resplendent light, and there were even terrifying beams of light shooting up into the air. However, at this moment, Qin Wentian wasn't in the mood to admire it. He only casually glanced at the weaponsmiths in the air, his countenance calm. So it turned out that the Drift's Now Master had long predicted that there would be experts spying on him after his death. Hence, there was a rumor that the 9 immortality bells didn't question immortals. At the same time, he allowed those true geniuses of the younger generations to gain some insights from this place. And because of this, those stronger existences would treat this place as a tempering ground and wouldn't forcefully destroy it. Naturally, this city itself should have an extremely powerful defense. If one wasn't a supreme expert, they wouldn't be able to shake it at all. In the past, it must have experienced the baptism of wind and rain. The Drifts Now city today was evidently no longer the city created by the Drifts Now master and Immortal Jade. Right now, there was no one in the Drifts Now city who could unravel the secrets of this ancient city. In fact, no one in the entire Jiangling country would be able to do so. As for those immortal kings and immortal emperors, they most probably had no time to investigate this so-called legend. For those who could forge weapons to connect with immortality, they could obtain this city and become half a disciple of the Drifts Now master. Ultimately, one still had to rely on weapon forging. Most probably, the Drifts Now master was choosing a successor for this city. This successor would be half a disciple and would naturally do his best to protect this city. Forging weapons. Qin Wentian mumbled in a low voice. His gaze gradually focused, staring at the geniuses in the air who were forging their weapons. At this moment, a terrifying beam of light flashed as a fearsome flame appeared in the air. That flame was actually a fiery red long spear. The tip of the long spear was blazing red in color, exuding a fearsome destructive might. It was as though a single strike from the spear would be able to penetrate through people and kill them. Middle grade 5th rank divine weapon. I've forged a mid-grade 5th rank divine weapon. The person who created the fiery long spear was a weaponsmithing genius from the Purple Flame sect. At this moment, his eyes flickered with excitement, as though he was extremely satisfied with the spear he created. He would often forge divine weapons in the Purple Flame sect, but ever since he started forging, this divine weapon was the one he was most proud of. It was forged by borrowing the energy from the runic inscriptions of the 9 immortality bells. The 9 immortality bells truly contained boundless mysteries. And earlier, he actually received a hint of guidance from the ancient bells, causing him to be extremely excited. He knew that today, there were countless geniuses gathered here. Although he came here to temper himself, it was impossible for him to unravel the secret within the 9 immortality bells. Being able to obtain some benefits was already enough for him to be overjoyed. He didn't dare to ask for too much. This person's cultivation base isn't high, yet he was able to forge a mid-grade 5th rank divine weapon. Not bad. Most probably, those powerful characters would be able to forge even higher ranked divine weapons. In the air, the Jiangling king, Pei Tianyuan, spoke. Ji Kong, who was beside him, nodded his head. Those from the Jiang clan and the Wondergate Immortal Manor would definitely be there. There are also a few other geniuses who are extremely powerful, and the divine weapons they forged are already starting to take shape. Most probably, they would all be top-tier 5th rank divine weapons. The weaponsmithing proficiency of these people is already extremely high. Now that they're in front of the 9 immortality bells, they can borrow the might of the 9 immortality bells to forge even stronger divine weapons. Sadly, although the distance between immortal and mortal is only a single step, it's extremely difficult to cross it. Pei Tianyuan sighed. If one could forge immortal-ranked weapons, wouldn't it be the same as ascending to immortality in a single step? That might not be the case. Right now, the 9 immortality bells seem to have been stimulated, resonating with each other. The runic light from the bells grew even stronger, and the amount of power one could borrow from them would also increase. This is a stroke of good fortune. There's a high possibility that the secret of the 9 immortality bells would be unraveled. In the air, the immortals all stared at the geniuses below as their countenances gleamed with sharpness. Those from the Jiang clan were paying attention to their disciples, while those from the Wondergate Immortal Manor were paying attention to those from the Wondergate Immortal Manor. Another divine weapon has been forged. It's a battle axe forged by a weaponsmith from the Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor. Although this weaponsmith's age is on the older side, he can be considered extremely powerful, being able to forge a top-tier 5th rank divine weapon. The battle intent of this battle axe towered up the heavens, exuding boundless might. Most probably, a single chop from this axe would be able to easily slay anyone below the 7th level of celestial phenomenon. Not bad. Zurius from the Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor glanced at the old man who forged the divine weapon as he praised. He himself wasn't a weaponsmith, it was just that he had an extremely high combat talent. He didn't forge a weapon and was only trying to gain insights from the 9 immortality bells. Sadly, he wasn't able to comprehend much. Jiang Yan. The gazes of the experts from the Jiang clan all focused on Jiang Yan. At this moment, Jiang Yan was forging a pagoda. Treasured pagodas were one of the most difficult divine weapons to forge. The forging method was exceedingly complex and the failure rate was simply too high. The requirements for the weaponsmith were extremely harsh, their control had to be extremely precise, and the slightest mistake would result in failure. But this time around, Jiang Yan was actually forging a treasured pagoda. Not only that, the pagoda was already starting to take shape, shining with resplendent light as golden flames revolved around it. There was also a layer of frost chi permeating the air, containing a terrifying destructive might within. Jiang Yan wants to break through his limits, communicating with the 9 immortality bells and forging a pagoda to see if he can gain the recognition of the 9 immortality bells. An elder from the Jiang clan spoke. This time around, Jiang Yan had caused him to have a whole new level of respect for him. He wanted to personally witness Jiang Yan breaking through his limits and forging a powerful divine weapon. Bzzz. The 9 immortality bells resonated with the pagoda as streams of runic light flowed into it. A moment later, the light from the pagoda grew even more resplendent as it trembled unceasingly. Jiang Yan occasionally blasted out ancient imprints, causing the pagoda to revolve unceasingly. Finally, the runic light in the air flowed together, causing a beam of light to shoot up into the clouds as a terrifying aura erupted forth from within. Success! Jiang Yan roared. The pagoda soared through the air, radiating a terrifying might as the 9 immortality bells chimed, as though acknowledging the existence of the pagoda. Top grade. Jiang Yan's eyes gleamed with a terrifying sharpness. This pagoda was a peak-grade 5th-rank divine weapon, and this was the strongest he could unleash. The 9 immortality bells truly lived up to their name. Sadly, even so, the secrets of the 9 immortality bells weren't revealed to him. How hateful. Jiang Yan's gaze abruptly turned over, staring in the direction of the 9 immortality bells where Sharon was at. Upon seeing Sharon concentrating on the forging process, his eyes flickered with coldness. After which, Jiang Yan's silhouette flickered as he soared through the air. An instant later, he appeared before Sharon as he spoke. Sharon, the divine weapon you forged is inferior to mine. Just a mere long spear, how can it surpass the pagoda I forged? Why don't you just give up? Sharon furrowed his brows, glancing at Jiang Yan while controlling himself not to be distracted. Jiang Yan. In the air, an elder from the Wondergate Immortal Manor coldly called out. Jiang Yan inclined his head as he coldly laughed. Before this, your disciple Sharon was extremely arrogant in front of me. Now, I'm merely returning the favor. Don't worry, I won't stop him, I'll allow him to continue forging. After speaking, Jiang Yan's gaze turned to Qin Wentian in another direction. His eyes flashed with killing intent as he rushed out with the pagoda. Chapter 782. What does Jiang Yan want to do? The expressions of the spectators froze when they saw Jiang Yan's actions. He was currently rushing towards one of the 9 immortality bells with the pagoda he forged, aiming for a young man. That young man inclined his head and glanced at Jiang Yan. Although his cultivation base wasn't strong, his eyes gleamed with sharpness. This man is named Tianwen. A few days ago, the geniuses gathered at the 9 immortality bells to deal with him, but he borrowed the might of the bells to defeat them. His comprehension of the 9 immortality bells is extremely deep and he's able to borrow the power of the millions of runic inscriptions to launch attacks. Back then, Jiang Yan suffered a great loss in his hands and lost all face. Now, he's borrowing the power of a divine weapon to kill his way over. I wonder if he's doing this to test the waters or to regain some face. Someone spoke. At this moment, many people in the Drifts Now city knew about this. Only those major powers who came later weren't very clear about this. When they saw Jiang Yan's actions, they all inquired about it and couldn't help but to stare at Qin Wentian with interest in their eyes. This man actually resisted against the combined forces of so many geniuses and was still so arrogant. And at this moment, Jiang Yan had already arrived before Qin Wentian. The pagoda floated before him, his eyes were cold and gleaming with coldness. Strands of hot and cold aura gushed forth from the pagoda, as though there were rings of light radiating from it. It was extremely terrifying, as though the moment the pagoda unleashed its might, it would be able to directly annihilate people. Aren't your comprehension of runic inscriptions very high? Why don't you know how to forge a weapon? Jiang Yan stared at Qin Wentian, looking down at him from a lofty position. His eyes flickered with arrogance. It was unknown if it was because of the humiliation he suffered in the past and he wanted to take revenge on Qin Wentian now. Qin Wentian inclined his head and glanced at Jiang Yan. After which, he spat out a single word, "Scram." As the sound of his voice faded, the 9 immortality bells chimed. The word "scram" reverberated through the air, lingering for a long time. Everyone in the surroundings heard it and inclined their heads, only to see Jiang Yan's countenance turning ashen. Staring at the cold eyes of Qin Wentian, he only felt that this was the most intense humiliation he had ever suffered in his entire life. He forged a peak-level divine weapon and came here to question the other party. Yet, the other party only gave him a single word, "Scram." Such arrogance far surpassed him by 100 times. He simply had no one in his eyes, completely disregarding Jiang Yan. "Kill!" Jiang Yan roared in rage. A moment later, the pagoda directly bore down on Qin Wentian. In an instant, the light from the pagoda expanded infinitely, enveloping Qin Wentian. Everywhere the light enveloped, everything was filled with destructive might, wanting to destroy everything. Qin Wentian waved his palms as a thunderous boom echoed out. The 9 immortality bells trembled in Jiang Yan's sea of consciousness as terrifying runic lights flashed. Qin Wentian lifted his palms and punched out. In just an instant, boundless golden fist light filled the skies as rumbling sounds echoed out. The light screen of the pagoda was directly destroyed by the golden fist light. Bzz. Jiang Yan stepped downwards as his aura gushed forth. At the same time, the pagoda expanded in size, radiating boundless underworld flames that transformed into a towering grand formation that blotted out the skies and covered the earth. When Qin Wentian inclined his head, he only felt that even the sky was covered by the incomparably fearsome underworld flames. Even the air seemed to have turned blurry from the scorching heat, as though water vapor could be seen in the air. Qin Wentian's countenance was as calm as ever as he coldly snorted. In the depths of his fist, boundless runic light converged into a long river. The resonance runes of the 9 immortality bells flowed towards him. Qin Wentian's body was clad in golden armor, exuding an unexcelled aura. His fist was enveloped by a golden screen of light, exuding an indomitable aura, terrifying to the extreme. "Scram!" Qin Wentian coldly snorted. He only spoke a single word as he punched out. The boundless runic inscriptions converged into a golden river, transforming into a gigantic golden fist that could shatter the heavens. It directly broke through the underworld flames of the pagoda and slammed into the center of the pagoda. The gigantic pagoda emitted a deafening sound as it was directly flung through the air, slamming into Jiang Yan. Jiang Yan coughed out a mouthful of blood as his body was flung through the air. In just an instant, it was as though Qin Wentian's fist had sent him up into the 9 heavens. Is he really so powerful? The eyes of the spectators gleamed with sharpness. Qin Wentian's ability to borrow the might of the 9 immortality bells was truly impressive. He could easily control the power of the millions of runes within the bells, transforming them into terrifying attacks for him. The eyes of the experts from the Jiang clan gleamed with coldness as they bore down on Qin Wentian. There were Immortal Foundation experts among them and the auras they exuded were Immortal Foundation experts. How powerful were they? Despite the distance between them, Qin Wentian could still instantly feel the pressure. Their gazes seemed to be able to penetrate his soul, and their auras could penetrate his body. Immortal Foundation experts were characters on a different level. If they wanted to kill him, even the power of the runes within the 9 immortality bells wouldn't be enough. Seems like I have to connect with immortality through smithing and become a half-disciple of the Drift's now master. Only then would I have a chance to unravel the secret within the 9 immortality bells and obtain the strongest might. Qin Wentian mused. With so many powerful enemies around him, although these Immortal Foundation experts didn't have a reason to act against him now, no one knew what would happen in the future. He definitely mustn't place his hopes on them. He had to increase his own confidence, only then would he be able to deal with all possible dangers. Jiang Yan's body transformed into a beam of light as he shot through the air. He had the pagoda in his hand but his countenance was ashen. He no longer had the high spirits he had earlier. His eyes were filled with boundless killing intent as he stared at Qin Wentian. The countenances of the experts from the Jiang clan were all extremely cold when they saw this scene. However, as Immortal Foundation experts, if they acted against someone at a lower level just because Jiang Yan was defeated, they would definitely be mocked by others. Jiang Yan. An Immortal Foundation expert called out. Momentarily, Jiang Yan turned his gaze over. This humiliation can only be washed away with blood. Do you understand? That Immortal Foundation expert stared at Jiang Yan. Naturally. Jiang Yan nodded. The life of this person would definitely be his. If not, how would he be able to establish a foothold in the Jiang clan in the future? How would he be able to convince the masses? Seems like you don't even know how the word humiliation is written. To think that you still have the guts to spout such arrogant words at this moment. How ridiculous. As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, even more powerful runes flowed around him. He was immersed within them, as though he had won. His killing intent gushed forth, causing Jiang Yan's countenance to turn ashen. After which, his silhouette flickered as he retreated, yet his eyes were as cold as ice as he stared at Qin Wentian. I want to see if you can hide in front of the 9 immortality bells forever. Jiang Yan roared in rage. At the very least, I can make you scram, never to step into the vicinity of the 9 immortality bells ever again. Qin Wentian soared up into the air. Runic light moved with him as he slammed out with his palms, manifesting a star-seizing palm imprint that could destroy everything, directly grabbing towards Jiang Yan. Jiang Yan retreated explosively, his speed as fast as lightning. Qin Wentian didn't hesitate to chase after him. You! Jiang Yan howled in rage. Qin Wentian madly chased after him, the terrifying star-seizing palm imprint followed closely behind him. Jiang Yan fled in a sorry state, directly leaving the vicinity of the 9 immortality bells. You keep on fighting despite being defeated, and you keep on spouting nonsense. This is the first time I've seen such a shameless person. Qin Wentian inclined his head as he mocked. After which, his gaze no longer looked at the ugly expression on Jiang Yan's face. Instead, he turned his gaze to the surroundings. The experts within the 9 immortality bells were still forging their weapons, many of them were already at a critical juncture. Boom! At this moment, the 9 immortality bells were activated as a genius from the Myriad Sage Academy created a powerful divine weapon. This weapon was the same as Jiang Yan, it was a peak-tier 5th-ranked weapon that shone resplendently. Senior brother is awesome. That person had a smile on his face as he stared at the 9 immortality bell. Earlier, he gained a trace of comprehension from the bell but sadly, he was the same as well. He had no way to unravel the secret within the 9 immortality bell. He could faintly sense that the secrets within the 9 immortality bell were extremely deep and profound. Although he borrowed the might of the bell to forge a weapon, the amount of energy he borrowed was merely the tip of the iceberg. The Myriad Sage Academy is as expected of a peak power of the Cloud Prefecture. They have geniuses that are proficient in all sorts of arts, and they even have such a genius in weaponsmithing. Pei Tianyuan laughed. After which, the Immortal Foundation experts from the Myriad Sage Academy all had smiles on their faces. Today has truly broadened my horizons. The geniuses here are actually able to forge top-tier 5th-ranked divine weapons. How impressive. The Drift's now master stared below as he sighed in admiration. He didn't mention anything about Jiang Yan and Qin Wentian earlier, only mentioning the weaponsmithing process. Yes, over there, there's another person who successfully forged a powerful divine weapon. Ji Kong pointed to a direction. The spectators from afar stared in the direction of the 9 immortality bells. Divine weapons continued to appear one after another, it was truly shocking. Although this young man has extraordinary attainments in the Tao of divine inscriptions, it's a pity that he doesn't know how to forge weapons. He naturally has no way to comprehend the mysteries within the 9 immortality bells. It's better for the geniuses to forge divine weapons. Pei Tianyuan glanced at Qin Wentian as he spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, the experts from the major powers all felt a little more comfortable. Before this, Qin Wentian's domineering strength had suppressed Jiang Yan, borrowing the might of the 9 immortality bells to suppress the geniuses. Although the one who lost the most face was Jiang Yan, the other major powers also felt that their limelight was stolen by someone else. Pei Tianyuan's words were just right, causing the experts from the major powers to feel a little more comfortable. This was also where Pei Tianyuan's craftiness came from. The Jiangling King's words aren't false. Since we can only borrow the might of the runic inscriptions, we have no way to communicate with the 9 immortality bells. We might as well forge divine weapons instead. Someone laughed. Look, there's another expert who managed to forge a powerful divine weapon. Heroes come from the younger generation. This should be someone from the 9 Peak Academy, right? The disciples of major powers are truly extraordinary. It's the same for your Battle Heaven's immortal manner as well. The major powers all started to flatter each other. Qin Wentian didn't care about the words of these people. He walked toward Sharon only to see that at this moment, Sharon was still forging a divine spear. Qin Wentian spoke to him, "Brother Sharon, the divine weapon has already taken shape. Seems like your requirements for this divine weapon are very harsh. I'm not proficient in flames, can you lend me this divine weapon for a while?" Sharon's eyes brightened as he stared at Qin Wentian. Earlier, he had also heard the words of those people and was filled with reluctance in his heart. Qin Wentian had such high attainments in the Tao of divine inscriptions, suppressing the geniuses of the major powers. But now, he was the target of jealousy instead. He also wanted to see how Qin Wentian forged a divine weapon. If he could forge a peak-tier 5th-ranked divine weapon, it would be good for him to ruthlessly slap the faces of these major powers, asking them to look down on him. Chapter 783. Sharon had a smile on his face as he stared at Qin Wentian. With such talent in divine inscriptions, how could he not be proficient in weaponsmithing? You forge it, I will assist you. Sharon smiled. Qin Wentian nodded his head, "Many thanks, Brother Sharon." After speaking, he stepped out and walked to the other side of Sharon. "Come, let me guide you. If you have any requests, feel free to speak. I will do my best to assist you." Sharon straightforwardly spoke. Most probably, even Jiang Yan's treasured pagoda wouldn't be able to surpass him. Now, he hoped that Qin Wentian would be able to forge an extraordinary long spear. Ghost Saber Mu Yen, who was at the side, had a smile on his face when he saw this scene. The two of them forged a weapon together. He wondered what kind of divine weapon they would create. Right now, there were already many geniuses who could forge peak-grade 5th-ranked weapons. It was extremely difficult to surpass them. Unless Qin Wentian's divine weapon was extremely unique, if not, it would be extremely difficult, almost impossible, for him to stun everyone. Now, they would have to wait and see if a miracle would happen. Maybe Qin Wentian would be able to create a miraculous effect on this long spear, allowing it to possess a unique might. Only then would he be able to gain an advantage when compared to the divine weapons forged by others. In the air, the experts all started when they heard Qin Wentian's words. The eyes of the Jiangling king, Pei Tianyuan, flashed. Earlier, he had just demoted Qin Wentian to raise the status of the major powers. Yet now, Qin Wentian was already preparing to forge a divine weapon. Was Qin Wentian trying to give him face? He wanted to see what kind of divine weapon this young man could forge. Would it be able to surpass the divine weapons forged by these geniuses? Regardless of the geniuses from the Jiang clan or the Nine Mountain Immortal Manor, the weapons they forged had already reached the pinnacle of the fifth ranked. It would be extremely difficult for them to surpass it. As for immortal-ranked weapons, he had never thought about it. How could a third-level ascendant be able to forge an immortal-ranked weapon? Immortals were called immortals because they were fundamentally different from mortals. The gap between immortals and mortals was insurmountable. Leaving aside Qin Wentian, in the entire Cloud Prefecture, there wasn't anyone below the immortal realm who could forge an immortal-ranked weapon. Even in the history of the Cloud Prefecture, there were only a few who could do so. And these few were all at the peak level of celestial phenomenon. They had extraordinary abilities and obtained immortal energy before they were able to forge immortal-ranked weapons. As for Qin Wentian, nobody would even think about him. Even if he borrowed the power of the 9 immortality bells, it would be impossible for him to do so. Looks like there's going to be a good show. Pei Tianyuan laughed. He was filled with anticipation to see what kind of divine weapon Qin Wentian would use to slap his face and make him take back his words. Interesting indeed, I'm filled with anticipation. Ji Kong's countenance gleamed with sharpness as he laughed. His eyes then turned to Qin Wentian and Sharan. Those from the various powers all turned their gazes onto Qin Wentian and Sharan. They wanted to see what kind of divine weapon these two who had extraordinary attainments in runic inscriptions were going to forge. At this moment, Qin Wentian and Sharan had already started to cooperate. Not long after, Qin Wentian started to take control. Sharan was like what he said, he only did his best to assist Qin Wentian, directly handing over the control of the divine weapon to Qin Wentian. Next, he would cooperate with Qin Wentian, allowing Qin Wentian to refine the divine weapon as he wished. At this moment, Qin Wentian's perception frenziedly gushed out, permeating the entire space, appearing within the 9 immortality bells. He communicated with the 9 immortality bells at the same time. Forging weapons to connect with immortals. If one doesn't forge immortal weapons, how can one connect with immortals through forging weapons? Qin Wentian mused. Since the Drift's now master left behind these words, this meant that those who could communicate with the 9 immortality bells would have a chance to forge an immortal weapon. As long as one could find the law energy required by the 9 immortality bells, they would be able to connect with immortals. The 9 immortality bells resonated as though they were one. Boundless runic light flashed, Qin Wentian's perception sank into it as he started to comprehend the law energy he obtained from the 9 immortality bells. A gaze, a palm imprint, an indestructible body. Qin Wentian was immersed in his perception. At this moment, he seemed to be standing in the center of the 9 immortality bells, bathing in the radiance of the 9 bells. Boundless runic light flowed through his body. I can't connect with immortals, but the 9 immortality bells can. As long as I unravel the laws within the 9 immortality bells, I would be able to find the law to connect with immortals. Qin Wentian mused as he continued to comprehend. The spectators only saw Qin Wentian controlling the divine weapon, standing there with his eyes closed. Boundless runic light flowed around him, incomparably resplendent, giving off an unfathomable feeling. However, he didn't take the next step, causing people to be suspicious. Acting all mysterious. In the air, Jiang Yan's eyes flashed with coldness. He mocked. Evidently, he was the one who didn't want Qin Wentian to forge a powerful divine weapon the most. Over there, there's another person forging a divine weapon. At this moment, in another direction, there was another genius forging a divine weapon. However, Qin Wentian was still quietly standing there, not moving at all, as though he was just putting on a false show. Time slowly flowed by. Chiron continued to assist Qin Wentian, controlling the energy within the divine weapon so that the flames wouldn't be extinguished. He stared at the boundless runic light radiating from Qin Wentian and believed that Qin Wentian was preparing to unleash his strongest attack. If not, he wouldn't be able to defeat the others before he completed his weapon. Chiron hoped that Qin Wentian would be able to forge a peak-tier 5th-ranked divine weapon that he had seen before, one that couldn't be replicated. As time flowed by, Qin Wentian's body was still as resplendent as ever, yet he still didn't move. Gradually, the spectators found it hard to believe that Qin Wentian wouldn't be able to surpass the others. The number of divine weapons forged by the geniuses grew more and more. This entire space would occasionally be filled with resplendent light, causing the spectators to sigh in admiration. The gazes of many gradually shifted away from Qin Wentian, no longer paying any attention to Qin Wentian. Awesome, the forging process is almost complete. There are over 10 geniuses who managed to forge peak-tier 5th-ranked divine weapons, and they are all from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture. As for top-tier 5th-ranked divine weapons, there are even more who managed to forge them, with a total of over 100. The manifestation of the 9 immortality bells this time can be considered a grand occasion. Someone sighed in admiration as he stared at the scene in the 9 immortality bells. After the geniuses completed their forging process, they started to converse with each other, laughing and joking. But the only regretful thing was that this time around, no one was able to unravel the secret within the 9 immortality bells. Wanting to do so was exceedingly difficult. Generation after generation, it became something impossible. In fact, there were even people who were thinking, could there really be a secret hidden within the 9 immortality bells? Could this be a lie that didn't exist at all? My king, the geniuses of this batch aren't bad at all. The Drifts Now master smiled at Pei Tianyuan. Not bad indeed. The city lord of your Drifts Now city is truly blessed by the heavens. Every time the 9 immortality bells chimed, there would be so many geniuses rushing over to your Drifts Now city. Pei Tianyuan replied with a hearty laugh. Ha, that's true. Being able to see so many geniuses is truly a joyous occasion. The city lord laughed uproariously. Everyone, after the weaponsmithing session ends, I wonder if those who came from afar would honor me with a banquet. The city lord of the Drifts Now city clasped his hands to the experts in the surroundings. Sure, let's stay here and enjoy the beautiful scenery of the Drifts Now Inn. Someone agreed. Sure. Another person spoke. After which, the experts from the major powers all agreed. Although these major powers were constantly competing against each other in the dark, they appeared to be in harmony right now. The geniuses from the major powers have truly broadened my horizons. The city lord's tone was extremely polite, causing everyone to nod humbly. Boom! Just as they were conversing, a bell chime abruptly rang out. This bell chime reverberated through the air, extremely resounding. In just an instant, the entire area turned silent as the gazes of everyone turned to the 9 immortality bells. Boom! Another bell chime rang out. The 9 immortality bells radiated a boundless radiance, as though they were one entity. Resplendent light could be seen intersecting as the boundless runic light congregated together, as though they were completely triggered. What's going on? Who triggered the 9 immortality bells? Pei Tianyuan's eyes gleamed with sharpness as he swept his gaze over the surroundings. Boom! A third chime rang out, this time even louder than before. Pei Tianyuan's voice was instantly drowned out. Boom! Boom! The fourth and fifth chimes rang out one after another, as though there would be no end to them. In the blink of an eye, the bell chimes rang out 8 times. It was already impossible to tell which bell chimes originated from. The 9 immortality bells chimed out together. When the 9th chime rang out, the entire space transformed into a tempest, filled with boundless runic light. What's going on exactly? Countless people inclined their heads, staring in the direction of the 9 immortality bells. However, they had no way to see what was happening. Right now, in Qin Wentian's perception, the 9 immortality bells seemed to have fused together as one entity. On the surface of the 9 immortality bells, there was a terrifying law energy that contained supreme might. This law energy converged into a 10,000-meter tall humanoid figure. Is this the law energy contained within the 9 immortality bells? Qin Wentian's heart trembled. On the body of the humanoid figure, boundless runes of light transformed into incomparably profound characters that floated about unceasingly. It was like a powerful innate technique, flashing before Qin Wentian's eyes. The person who attracted the 9 immortality bells is already qualified to connect with immortality through forging a weapon. Qin Wentian spoke. At this moment, the spectators only saw Qin Wentian waving his hands. A moment later, he brought the long spear with him as he shot towards the convergence of the 9 immortality bells. What is he doing? The countenances of the spectators stiffened when they saw this scene. They only saw Qin Wentian soaring up into the air, standing proudly above the 9 immortality bells. With a wave of his hand, the long spear shot out, directly entering the boundless runic light storm. Connecting with immortality through forging a weapon. This law energy, why don't you bestow it to me? Fuse it with my own energy and infuse it into a divine weapon. Qin Wentian silently mused. His aura gushed forth as he activated the law energy. In an instant, the boundless storm transformed into a long river that flowed towards the long spear. Come in. Qin Wentian roared. In his perception, the 10,000-meter tall humanoid figure directly drilled into the long spear. In just an instant, the storm gradually calmed down. The long spear in the middle of the runic light started to vibrate violently as a beam of light shot up into the sky. It was as though that beam of light was cleansing the entire divine weapon. The chimes of the 9 immortality bells were triggered by him. The eyes of the spectators trembled as they stared fixedly at Qin Wentian and the long spear. Chapter 784. The divine spear shimmered with boundless light, shooting straight up into the sky as though wanting to pierce through the heavens. A terrifying immortal light flashed and in an instant, the surroundings of the long spear were enveloped by a boundless halo of light. The halo of light was akin to an immortal halo, illuminating this entire space. How can this be possible? Pei Tianyuan and the rest had expressions of shock on their faces as they stared at the scene before them. Immortals naturally had a halo of light around them. When they walked on the streets, if they didn't intentionally retract it, the halo of light would illuminate their surroundings. Even in the darkness of the night, it would be as bright as day. It was the same for divine weapons as well. When an immortal ranked weapon was forged, it would shed off its mortal body and glow with immortal light. This indicated that the divine weapon forged was an immortal ranked weapon, transcending the mortal body and transforming into an immortal. Not only was Pei Tianyuan's heart pounding, everyone in the surroundings was shocked as well. The experts from the major powers all froze as they stared at the immortal ranked long spear. Could a third-level ascendant really forge an immortal ranked weapon? Such a situation had never been seen or heard of before. The 9 immortality bells really contain immortality? Everyone stared at the resplendent bells. It was impossible for Qin Wentian to achieve this with his own weaponsmithing abilities. In that case, he must have borrowed the power of the 9 immortality bells. But even so, Qin Wentian was the first person to borrow the power of the 9 immortality bells to forge an immortal ranked weapon. This indicated that he had already formed a connection with the 9 immortality bells, connecting immortality with his weapon forging. Is this the meaning of ascending to immortality in a single step? Qin Wentian himself was also shocked. He inclined his head and stared at the newly born immortal ranked weapon. What he saw was different from the others. Other than the immortal ranked weapon, he could faintly see the silhouette of an ancient immortal standing within the long spear. Drifts now master, the 9 immortality bells contain your soul. Is this a manifestation of your spirit? Qin Wentian silently mused. From the gigantic silhouette, he could clearly see many flowing runic lights, and there seemed to be many ancient characters engraved on it. Immortal physique. So it turns out that the Drifts Now Master cultivated an ancient immortal physique which allowed him to have a 10,000-meter tall physique. Not only that, he used his supreme might to refine his physique into a weapon. This is truly similar to my fiend god body refinement art. Qin Wentian stared at the shining ancient characters as his heart trembled. This was actually an immortal physique tempering art. If he succeeded in cultivating it, and complemented it with the fiend god heavenly suppression art and the fiend god body refinement art, the might he could unleash would be unimaginably terrifying. He actually managed to forge an immortal artifact. Sharon, who was at the side, was also stunned. He initially hoped that Qin Wentian would be able to forge a unique peak-tier 5th-ranked weapon, surpassing Jiang Yan and the rest. But he didn't even dare to imagine that Qin Wentian would be able to forge an immortal-ranked weapon. The long spear in the air shimmered with boundless light, shimmering with a halo of light. This was clearly the sign of an immortal armament. As for Jiang Yan, Nian and the rest, their countenances were all pale as they stared in disbelief at the scene before them. In fact, they were even shaking their heads unceasingly, as though they wanted to deny the reality before their eyes. The young man who defeated them, by relying on his supreme comprehension of the runic inscriptions around the 9 immortality bells, actually managed to connect with immortality and forge an immortal-ranked weapon. At this instant, countless gazes were focused on Qin Wentian. That young man standing arrogantly in the air, forging an immortal-ranked weapon in front of the 9 immortality bells, would definitely become a legend in the Drifts Now city. It has a spirit, the 9 immortality bells truly have a spirit. Today, a legend related to weaponsmithing has appeared in our Drifts Now city. At the outer perimeter of the 9 immortality bells, the people of the Drifts Now city all personally witnessed this scene as their hearts couldn't help but to sigh in admiration. At this moment, in the air, Qin Wentian slowly walked towards the immortal-ranked weapon. The boundless radiance of the 9 immortality bells cascaded down on him, and at this instant, Qin Wentian felt as though his will had fused together with the 9 immortality bells. His will was the will of the 9 immortality bells. Within the will of the 9 immortality bells, there seemed to be an ancient city. This city was covered in snowflakes, and every inch of the ground was like an impenetrable fortress, with flesh and blood. It was as though this city was created from the essence of life. This city seemed to be none other than the Drifts Now city of the past. Right now, it directly appeared in Qin Wentian's mind. Within the 9 immortality bells, there's a will of an entire city. I used the 9 immortality bells to forge an immortal-ranked weapon, connecting with immortality through the forging process. It seems that I've successfully forged an entire city. Qin Wentian sensed something in his heart. Everything in this city seemed so clear to him. The will of the 9 immortality bells seemed to be able to control this city, and his will represented the will of the 9 immortality bells. Connecting with the 9 immortality bells through weapon forging, ascending to immortality in a single step. Qin Wentian sighed in his heart. Right now, he could indeed be considered as half a disciple of the Drifts Now Master. In addition, the Drifts Now Master was someone from ancient times. Even if he became half a disciple of the Drifts Now Master, it wouldn't be considered breaking the rules of the heavenly talisman realm. He didn't join any other powers or experts. It was only because of this experience that he had formed an indissoluble bond with the Drifts Now Master. Naturally, if it wasn't for the insights he gained from the innate ability treasure tome in the heavenly talisman realm, he wouldn't be able to reach this level. Qin Wentian was immersed in his own world. This caused the gazes of the experts in the air to flicker as they stared at him. Their eyes would occasionally flash with light, as though they were in deep contemplation. It was a fact that this young man had forged an immortal ranked weapon. Connecting with immortality through weapon forging, in addition to the fact that he was basking in the boundless resplendent light. Did something happen to him? Was the secret of the 9 immortality bells unraveled by him? If it was unraveled, what was the secret hidden within the 9 immortality bells? The eyes of experts from the Jiang clan gleamed with sharpness. Jiang Yan and the other geniuses of the Jiang clan stood among the crowd, their countenances extremely unsightly to behold. They were the chosen of the sacred ground of the Cloud Prefecture, the Jiang clan. With so many geniuses here, they were actually completely suppressed by a single person. With this young man here, their brilliance was no longer there, they were all reduced to mediocrity. He must have obtained the aid of the 9 immortality bells. Right now, there's a high possibility that he's trying to establish a connection with them. Jiang Yen spoke, reminding the Immortal Foundation experts of the Jiang clan. Not only Jiang Yen felt this way, everyone else was thinking this way as well. This young man borrowed the might of the 9 immortality bells to forge an immortal ranked weapon. In that case, could it be that he was trying to pry into the secret of the 9 immortality bells? Only to see that at this moment, an expert shrouded in immortal light stepped out. His halo of light shone resplendently, and within this halo of light, there were traces of battle intent within, as though he was born with an innate battle intent. The gaze of this person contained a terrifying penetrative power. He stared downwards, staring at the long spear as well as Qin Wentian. He then spoke, "This divine weapon is actually an immortal ranked weapon. How about lending it to me for a look?" Although his tone was asking, he directly stretched his hand out and grabbed towards the long spear. Qin Wentian abruptly inclined his head, his eyes gleaming with sharpness as he spoke, "I haven't agreed yet. Senior, don't you think it's inappropriate for you to forcefully seize it? If you reject, that would be disrespectful to Senior." That person coldly laughed. As the sound of his voice faded, his palm that was grabbing down from the air expanded madly, transforming into an invincible palm that directly grabbed towards the immortal ranked divine weapon. There was no fear in his eyes at all. That palm shone with a diamond-like luster, it was extremely tough and indestructible. "Senior, you are an immortal, yet you dare to bully a junior like this? Isn't that a little too ungentlemanly?" Qin Wentian spoke once more. As the sound of his voice faded, the long spear pierced through the air, radiating boundless light as it shot towards the gigantic palm imprint. This beam of light seemed indestructible, directly slamming into the gigantic palm imprint. However, at this moment, the luster from the palm imprint was still as bright as before, as though it contained an indestructible immortal might. Immortal light shone around the palm imprint, containing true immortal might. "Humph, didn't your elders teach you to respect your seniors?" That expert coldly snorted, his voice directly penetrating into Qin Wentian's heart. Just a single sound wave was sufficient to cause Qin Wentian's heart to tremble. "Are you even worthy of being called a senior?" Qin Wentian mocked. At this moment, the divine spear suddenly expanded to 10,000 meters. Immortal light revolved around it, incomparably resplendent, as though it contained boundless energy within, capable of destroying everything and suppressing the entire sky. The long spear pierced out explosively. With a thunderous boom, the palm imprint directly shattered apart, transforming into motes of light. However, the immortal ranked long spear continued piercing out, straight towards the Immortal Foundation expert who was attacking. This scene caused the eyes of that Immortal Foundation expert from the battle heaven's immortal manor to flash with coldness. He stepped out and slammed both his palms down, immortal light shone brilliantly, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. The light from the long spear was repelled, and the palm imprint he blasted out was also destroyed. The expressions of the crowd trembled as they stared in shock at Qin Wentian. He actually wanted to use an immortal ranked divine weapon to fight against an Immortal Foundation expert. This was definitely madness. Immortal ranked divine weapons were ultimately still divine weapons, they were merely external sources of power. If one borrowed external power, how could they contend against true immortals? It was just that because this immortal-ranked divine weapon was personally forged by Qin Wentian, his control over it was extremely strong. Hence, the might it could erupt forth was extremely terrifying. If not, ordinary celestial phenomenon ascendants wouldn't be able to unleash the might of an immortal-ranked divine weapon. However, Qin Wentian was different. He borrowed the power of an immortal-ranked divine weapon and directly fought against an Immortal Foundation expert. What truly shocked everyone was that Qin Wentian actually dared to act against an Immortal Foundation expert. His cultivation base was at the 3rd level of celestial phenomenon. Even if he borrowed the power of the 9 immortality bells, it would be extremely easy for an Immortal Foundation expert to kill him. How crazy, he actually dared to directly retaliate against an Immortal Foundation expert. The spectators from afar silently mused. They only saw that Immortal Foundation expert staring at Qin Wentian as he spoke. "I'm just borrowing your divine weapon to take a look and you actually dare to obstruct me? Do you not want your life anymore?" The threat in his eyes was extremely dense, the sharpness of his gaze piercing through Qin Wentian's eyes. The others naturally wouldn't object. Now that there was someone who stood out to bully Qin Wentian, it would save them the trouble of acting personally and leaving behind a bad reputation. But in truth, although Qin Wentian managed to forge an immortal-ranked divine weapon today, it was precisely because of this that there was no way for him to be at peace. When Qin Wentian heard the threat in his opponent's voice, he inclined his head and stared at that Immortal Foundation expert. His eyes flickered with arrogance as he spoke, "Using Immortal Foundation to suppress me? Despicable characters like you only dare to do such despicable things. I'm afraid that among Immortal Foundation experts, you are nothing but an ant-like existence, trampled on by others." Chapter 785. As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, the hearts of the crowd surged as their hearts trembled unceasingly. "Crazy, this fellow has truly gone crazy," someone mumbled, staring at the location where Qin Wentian was at. That young man stood proudly in the air, exuding boundless arrogance. Although his talent in forging immortal-ranked weapons was unrivaled, wasn't his words a little too arrogant? He didn't know how to endure. It was one thing for him to deal with those below the Immortal Foundation realm. But when facing Immortal Foundation characters, he actually dared to say such words. This was simply courting death. Immortal Foundation characters weren't existences those below the Immortal Foundation realm could contend against. This was an ironclad rule. Below immortals, all were mortals. In the eyes of immortals, those below the Immortal Foundation, no matter how talented you are still immortal. Even if your talent is good, you might not be able to step over the threshold and become an immortal. For those who could become immortals, none of them were simple characters. All of them were extremely powerful, and were all geniuses of the past. At this moment, Qin Wentian spoke arrogantly, saying that the Immortal Foundation character was nothing but an ant-like existence in the immortal realm. This was already a public provocation, a declaration of war against immortals. This brat, what did he rely on to be so arrogant, putting immortals in his eyes? Could it be that because he forged an immortal-ranked weapon, he is incomparably arrogant and doesn't know the immensity of the heavens and earth? Does he really think that with an immortal-ranked weapon, he would be able to contend against immortals? The crowd mused in their hearts. If this was the case, Qin Wentian would surely receive a painful lesson. In fact, this lesson might even cost him his life. And as expected, how could that immortal expert from the battle heaven's immortal manor endure such humiliation from someone of a lower cultivation level? However, he wasn't angered. To Immortal Foundation characters, they had experienced countless hardships before they could become immortals. Their personalities were all extremely resilient. Even if they were humiliated by someone of a lower cultivation level, although they were angered in their hearts, they could still restrain themselves. However, the coldness in their eyes flickered with killing intent. Do you know that there's a saying in the immortal realms? Immortals cannot be humiliated. That immortal expert stared at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian naturally could sense the killing intent from the other party. However, to him, he had already connected with immortality through forging a weapon and obtained the recognition of the 9 immortality bells. If he didn't probe out his secrets, these Immortal Foundation characters wouldn't let this matter rest. Since this was the case, he had to do something. If not, even if this immortal didn't act, there would still be others bullying him. I've never heard of such words before. I only know that those who humiliate others will be humiliated by others. You disregard the dignity of others. What qualifications do you have to gain the respect of others? In my eyes, there's no such thing as immortals or mortals. There are only friends and enemies. I only know that those who humiliate others will be humiliated by others. So what if you have an Immortal Foundation weapon? In my eyes, there's no such thing as immortals or mortals. There's only friends and enemies. Qin Wentian's eyes were cold as he stared straight at the immortal expert. As the sound of his voice faded, that immortal expert started laughing uproariously. His gaze was as calm as still water, staring at Qin Wentian. Arrogant and ignorant, there's only friends and enemies. Just you. Are you even qualified to be my enemy? Qin Wentian silently stared at the Immortal Foundation expert in the air as his countenance abruptly turned as calm as still water. There was no anger, not even the slightest fluctuation. Even if the Immortal Foundation expert said that in the eyes of the Immortal Foundation expert, his life was like grass, like an animal. Even if the Immortal Foundation expert wanted to take his life and take his memories. Is this your true nature? Qin Wentian stared at the sky as he mumbled, "Come on. I'll let you know what it means to be an immortal." The immortal expert in the air spoke with cold arrogance. After which, his palms expanded explosively as a gigantic palm imprint manifested. Immortal halos revolved around it, capable of destroying everything. Such might could truly shake the heavens and earth. It was unknown how many people below the immortal realm would die with a single palm strike. Although Qin Wentian was very far away from the immortal expert, he could still feel a supreme pressure gushing over. With an intention of his will, the 9 immortality bells chimed madly as boundless halos revolved around him. A resplendent armor of light covered his body, preventing the pressure from destroying him. At the same time, his long spear erupted forth, shimmering with boundless immortal light, breaking apart everything as it slammed into the gigantic palm imprint. Thunderous rumbling sounds rang out as the gigantic palm imprint shattered. However, this was only the beginning. Do you think that a mere immortal-ranked weapon would be able to obstruct me from killing you? A voice filled with arrogance drifted over. That Immortal Foundation expert stepped out towards Qin Wentian, and with every step he took, a supreme pressure blasted onto Qin Wentian, causing the halos around Qin Wentian to tremble violently as though they were about to shatter at any moment. If it wasn't for the fact that he was borrowing the might of the 9 immortality bells, that immortal expert would have already killed him with a single step. The disparity between immortals and mortals was truly hard to bridge. This was especially so when Qin Wentian was still so weak, only at the 3rd level of celestial phenomenon. How could he fight against an immortal? This man humiliated an Immortal Foundation expert and doesn't know how to restrain himself. I'm afraid he will die for sure. The spectators from afar opened their mouths in disbelief, silently musing at how terrifying Immortal Foundation experts were. That Immortal Foundation expert seemed to have 3 heads and 6 arms. In the air, numerous gigantic palm imprints blasted out, blotting out the sky as they blasted towards Qin Wentian. Even the space here seemed to be on the verge of collapse. Immortal Foundation experts are simply too terrifying. How can this man block them with just a single immortal-ranked weapon? Everyone felt as though they could already see the doomsday of Qin Wentian. Each and every palm imprint glowed with a resplendent immortal light, causing the entire sky to grow even brighter. A battle between Immortal Foundation experts was truly dazzling. Qin Wentian's countenance was as calm as ever, there were no fluctuations at all. With a wave of his hand, the divine spear in his hand expanded explosively as a supreme might gushed forth from it. Immortal Foundation divine weapon, suppressing the heavens with a single spear. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with a terrifying light. His long spear stabbed out in anger, sweeping through the sky. This spear strike was like a primordial giant unleashing a fatal strike. A formless immortal light radiated outwards, radiating waves of destruction that gushed towards the sky. The palm imprints all trembled violently before shattering into pieces. A terrifying explosion rocked this entire space. The might contained within was truly capable of shaking the heavens and earth. Before the aftershocks dissipated, Qin Wentian saw a lofty figure appearing in the air above him. This was none other than that Immortal Foundation expert. His body seemed to have grown larger as an immortal halo radiated from him. His eyes seemed to be able to see through the hearts of others, and when he stared at Qin Wentian, it was as though he was looking at an ant. Despite the fact that Qin Wentian had already used his divine weapon to block 2 of his attacks, however, this couldn't change anything. In his eyes, Qin Wentian was already a dead man. To think that by borrowing the power of the 9 immortality bells, you would actually be able to forge such a divine weapon. However, although this divine weapon was forged by you, you aren't worthy enough to own it. What's the point of a dead man wanting an immortal weapon? That immortal expert calmly spoke. The immortal light radiating from him grew even stronger, radiating boundless immortal might that permeated the entire space. Even the spectators from afar could feel the pressure from his immortal foundation. Let's end this. That Immortal Foundation expert coldly spoke. His body trembled as immortal light flashed, blinding the eyes. Countless palm imprints blasted forth, blotting out the sky as though wanting to shatter the heavens and earth. Boom! At this moment, the chimes of the 9 immortality bells rang out, reverberating through the air. Boom, boom, boom. The chimes rang out unceasingly as boundless runic light converged on Qin Wentian. Within the 9 immortality bells, immortal qi gushed forth, enveloping Qin Wentian. At this instant, an ancient giant seemed to be standing on top of Qin Wentian, expanding unceasingly. With Qin Wentian in the center, a 10,000-meter tall shadow manifested, exuding an aura that could dominate the heavens. This incomparably gigantic silhouette directly grabbed onto the divine spear. Instantly, the long spear expanded explosively, radiating boundless light as a cold voice abruptly echoed through the air. You are right. What's the point of a dead man wanting an immortal weapon? This voice was none other than Qin Wentian's. However, there was a hint of solemnity in it, as well as an irresistible sense of holiness. That incomparably gigantic shadow grabbed onto the divine spear and pierced out with it. An instant later, the countless palm imprints blasted over were all shattered into pieces. Everywhere it passed by, everything was annihilated, turning into nothingness. This was truly a destructive force, capable of slaughtering the heavens and earth. The countenance of that Immortal Foundation expert drastically changed. The immortal light radiating from him grew even stronger as he frenziedly attacked. However, it was all useless. When the long spear pierced out, all his attacks were shattered. Rumble. This spear strike seemed to be able to pierce through the heavens. That Immortal Foundation expert had a look of terror on his face. He soared through the air, transforming into a beam of light as he fled. However, the long spear in the hands of that gigantic shadow once again expanded, becoming 1,000,000 meters long. With a single strike, even ghosts and gods would be shocked. Chi! A sound rang out. The Immortal Foundation expert in the air halted his escape. The long spear directly pierced into his body, nailing him in the air. So what if you are an immortal? You will die all the same. Qin Wentian's voice reverberated through the heavens and earth once more. With a thunderous boom, immortal light flashed as the body of that Immortal Foundation expert exploded, turning into dust that vanished like smoke in the wind. Immortals would die all the same. This spear strike shocked even ghosts and gods alike. This spear strike was capable of destroying immortals. Before this, that Immortal Foundation expert was incomparably arrogant, treating Qin Wenqian's life like grass, like an ant. He could kill him whenever he wanted and even said that he wanted to spare Qin Wenqian's life. He wanted to search his soul and plunder his memories. How domineering was that? He didn't even place Qin Wenqian in his eyes. Even after his divine weapon blocked 2 of his attacks, he still didn't care about Qin Wenqian. He thought that this strike would be sufficient to kill Qin Wenqian. But never in his wildest dreams would he have imagined that this strike would be his doomsday. A single spear strike from Qin Wenqian directly nailed him to death in the air, seizing his immortal path and destroying his life. A single spear strike, killing an immortal. Who said that immortals could be lofty existences, disregarding all mortals below the immortal realm? Who said that immortals could casually humiliate those below the immortal realm? Immortals couldn't be humiliated, but could mortals do the same? Qin Wenqian used his strongest method to prove that he couldn't be humiliated. If not, even if you were an immortal, he would still kill you. Chapter 786. The spectators were all stunned by this spear strike. Their hearts pounded violently as disbelief flickered in their eyes. Killing an immortal, he actually killed an immortal with a cultivation base at the 3rd level of celestial phenomenon. This scene ruthlessly impacted the hearts of the spectators. Below immortals, all were mortals. Immortals mustn't be humiliated. Immortals weren't merely a cultivation realm, it was also something everyone yearned for. It represented a kind of status, a transcendent status, stepping into immortality. To those below immortality, when they met with Immortal Foundation experts, they would all have to be respectful, not daring to show the slightest bit of disobedience. There was no need for them to be as arrogant as Qin Wenqian. Before this, Qin Wenqian was incomparably arrogant, unexcelled in the world. Everyone thought that he was courting death and would die for sure. That Immortal Foundation expert could kill him as easily as flipping a palm. But the truth was so shocking. Who said that only immortals could humiliate others, but immortals mustn't? Who said that immortals could view the lives of mortals as worthless as grass? Qin Wenqian used this battle to tell everyone that immortals were also humans and could be destroyed. When your strength reached a certain extent, why would you need to fear immortals? Even in front of immortals, you can still maintain your dominance, your arrogance, your strength of character. Nobody would be able to change that, even immortals wouldn't be able to make you bow down. Who? Many people drew in a deep breath. Their eyes were filled with shock, they had no way to recover from the shock of that spear strike. They felt that they were dreaming, but that Immortal Foundation expert from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor had truly vanished from their vision. He was truly killed by a single spear strike from Qin Wenqian. This scene happened right before their eyes. Leaving aside the ordinary characters, even the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture were dumbfounded by this scene. The impact of this scene was extremely great, especially for those Immortal Foundation experts. If they were the ones fighting against Qin Wenqian earlier, would they be able to defend against that spear strike? Many of them discovered that even if it was them, they might not have absolute confidence in being able to block that astonishing spear attack. The might contained within that spear was completely the might of an immortal. All the power that obstructed its path would be completely destroyed. Pei Tianyuan's deep eyes gleamed with a terrifying sharpness. He had misjudged, the young man before him was far more outstanding than what he had imagined. Regardless of whether Qin Wenqian borrowed the might of the 9 immortality bells or not, he had still accomplished something unprecedented. Pei Tianyuan had lived for tens of thousands of years and he had never seen a lower-level cultivator kill an Immortal Foundation character before. This was the first time, and one could very well imagine how great the impact of this was to him. Seems like the rumors about the Drift's now master weren't false. This young man must have already unraveled the secret within the 9 immortality bells. Right now, he should be able to borrow the power of the bells to kill immortals. Pei Tianyuan mused. He was contemplating how he should interact with Qin Wentian. As he thought of this, his gaze involuntarily turned towards Pei Yu. Although those below Immortal were all mortals and immortals viewed mortals like grass, no matter how talented they were, they might not be able to become immortals. However, for some supreme demon-level characters, the probability of them stepping into immortality was extremely high. For a character like Qin Wentian, he was able to form a connection with the divine inscriptions within the 9 immortality bells and borrow the might of the bells to kill immortals. This indicated that his comprehension abilities were extraordinary and the possibility of him stepping into the immortal realm was extremely high. At this moment, Pei Yu and Sharon had an indescribable feeling in their hearts. This was especially so for Sharon. He was someone from the Wondergate Immortal Manor and could be considered a weaponsmithing genius. This time around, he came here to compete with the geniuses from the various powers, wanting to unravel the secret within the 9 immortality bells. Even if they couldn't do so, they still wanted to compete against each other. But now that the situation had developed to this point, the geniuses from the various powers were all forgotten. The focus of everyone was on this friend of his. The brilliance of him alone overshadowed everyone else, causing the others to pale in comparison. You actually dared to kill someone from my Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor? At this moment, a cold voice broke the silence. The gazes of the crowd turned over to the person who spoke, only to see the silhouette of Zurius from the Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor. Only to see that Zurius had a malevolent expression on his face. He was a genius from the Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor, and earlier when he was facing Qin Wentian, he was still extremely domineering. A group of them chased after Qin Wentian, believing that Qin Wentian didn't even have the qualifications to talk to them on equal grounds. But now, Qin Wentian seemed to have directly left those so-called geniuses in the dust. The target of Qin Wentian directly surpassed them. This feeling of being reduced to a supporting character wasn't a good one at all. Let alone the fact that the Immortal Foundation expert who was killed was an expert from his Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor. Not long ago, that Immortal Foundation expert was incomparably arrogant, yet he was killed. This matter would definitely spread out, causing him to feel even more uncomfortable. Qin Wentian glanced at Zurius as he sarcastically spoke, "Are you even qualified to speak to me? You." Veins popped out on Zurius's hands as killing intent blazed in his eyes. He wanted nothing more than to rush down and slice Qin Wentian into 2. You guys are all the same, arrogant yet useless, proclaiming yourselves to be geniuses, proclaiming yourselves to be a tier higher than others. Yet in reality, you guys are all useless, a bunch of trash. Qin Wentian bluntly attacked Zurius, wanting to crush his confidence and conviction. Sir. At this moment beside Zurius, an expert from the Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor stared at Qin Wentian as immortal light revolved around him. His eyes gleamed with sharpness as he stared at Qin Wentian below. You killed an expert from my Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor and your words are still so arrogant. Could it be that you really don't care about the consequences? Consequences? Qin Wentian's eyes flickered with a maniacal smile as he mocked, "You are only talking to me about consequences now. First, Zurius hunted me down, and after that, an Immortal Foundation expert bullied a junior at the 3rd level of Celestial Phenomenon, wanting to seize my immortal weapon, search my soul and plunder my memories. And now, you are talking to me about consequences? If it wasn't for the fact that I have the strength to kill him, would you guys still be talking to me like this? You guys would most probably directly crush me to death. I can still stand here now not because of your pity, nor because I had to swallow my anger. But because of my strength. This is the capital. I have to talk to you guys. Now, I don't want to see you guys anymore. Scram for me." Qin Wentian arrogantly spoke, pointing his finger to the horizons, directly expelling them. He wasn't polite at all, so arrogant that it caused the hearts of everyone to tremble. However, the spectators couldn't help but to admit that Qin Wentian's words were logical. Earlier, that Immortal Foundation expert wanted to deal with him. Even if Qin Wentian swallowed his anger and kneeled down to beg for mercy, it would still be useless. The reason why he could still stand here was because of his combat prowess. If he didn't have control over his strength, that Immortal Foundation expert wouldn't even bother talking nonsense with him. He would directly kill his way over. Hypocritical politeness had no meaning at all. Strength was the foundation. If Qin Wentian didn't have strength, only death would await him. In that case, since he had strength, why would he need to be polite and respectful to these people? How dare you? That Immortal Foundation expert exuded a terrifying pressure. His entire body shone with a resplendent immortal light, unexcelled in the world. Faintly, his aura was even more terrifying compared to that Immortal Foundation expert earlier. Insolent. Qin Wentian laughed. That Immortal Foundation expert wanted to search his soul, plunder his memories, and even take his life. Was he considered insolent? If this was called insolent, he didn't mind being even more insolent. Boom! The bell chimes rang out once more, continuing for a long time. The illusory figure around Qin Wentian was incomparably gigantic, exuding a fearsome might. This terrifying illusory figure was controlled by Qin Wentian, growing more and more corporeal, resembling a true 10,000-meter immortal body. With a long spear in his hand, he resembled an ancient war god, exuding an unexcelled killing intent. The light radiating from the long spear caused the hearts of everyone to tremble involuntarily. Many experts from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor involuntarily trembled, and there were even some who involuntarily retreated. That immortal killing spear earlier was still imprinted in their minds. If Qin Wentian unleashed another spear attack, how many of them would be able to block it? If you don't scram, die. Qin Wentian roared. The gigantic spear in his hands exploded forth, there were no empty words, he directly attacked. This spear pierced out, causing the entire space to tremble. A destructive might suppressed the heavens as it shot towards the experts from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor, ignoring everything. You! That expert in the lead turned ashen. Immortal light towered up into the sky as boundless golden light radiated from him, transforming into a fearsome golden shield that shimmered with runic inscriptions. Bang! A thunderous sound rang out, the long spear pierced into that fearsome golden shield, causing a series of cracking sounds to ring out. After which, cracks appeared on the golden shield as cracks spread out in all 8 directions. With a thunderous boom, the ancient shield completely exploded, transforming into motes of light. But even so, it still managed to endure that fearsome spear attack. The experts from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor were all forced to retreat unceasingly. What a powerful attack! That expert in the lead from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor felt his heart trembling. He only saw Qin Wentian roaring as his long spear expanded even further. He first retracted his spear before blasting out once more, shaking the heavens and earth. Go! That expert from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor roared. The golden shield manifested once more, transforming into 9 layers. Rumbling sounds rang out once more as the shields shattered apart. That expert borrowed the force of the explosion to retreat unceasingly. In just an instant, all the experts from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor had already retreated to a faraway location. All of their countenances turned ashen as they stared in rage at that arrogant figure standing in the center of the 9 immortality bells. The killing intent in their eyes was incomparably intense. Their Battle Heaven's immortal manor was a transcendent power of the Cloud Prefecture, yet they were actually forced to scram by a 3rd-level ascendant. You have guts. That expert's golden eyes pierced through space, staring at Qin Wentian as he coldly spoke. After which, he flicked his sleeves and led the experts from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor away. He no longer had the face to remain here. This trip to the faraway Drifts Now city, not only did the Battle Heaven's immortal manor not gain much, they even lost all their face. Qin Wentian didn't stop there. The terrifying giant stood proudly in the sky, as tall as the 9 immortality bells. He wielded a long spear in his hands as he turned his gaze to the others. Everyone, please leave as well. These people all coveted the secret within the 9 immortality bells. Now, it's time for all of them to leave. Chapter 787. Although Qin Wentian politely said the word please, in truth, he was already trying to chase them away. He had obtained the secret of the 9 immortality bells, connecting Immortal Foundation through forging a weapon, defeating the strongest expert of the Battle Heaven's immortal manner and forcing them to leave. Now, Qin Wentian was asking everyone to leave this region. Does this man think that he is the master of the 9 immortality bells? The countenances of everyone gleamed with sharpness. The 9 immortality bells belonged to the Drifts Now city, but Qin Wentian actually wanted them to leave. The gazes of many turned to Pei Tianyuan and the Drifts Now city lord. This place was the Drifts Now city of the Jiangling country of the Cloud Prefecture. Pei Tianyuan and the Drifts Now city lord were both here, but Qin Wentian actually wanted them to leave. Jiangling king, city lord, this man isn't polite at all. He already thinks that he is the master of this place. At this moment, Jiang Yen spoke, as though he was intentionally stirring up conflict. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed as he stared at Jiang Yen, who spoke. After which, a towering light radiated from him as that incomparably gigantic Qin Wentian brandished a divine spear and shot out explosively towards Jiang Yen. Beside Jiang Yen, there were many experts from the Jiang clan. One of them took out an immortal-ranked divine weapon that shone with resplendent immortal light, akin to the radiance of the sun, causing the entire space to be lit up with destructive flames. With a thunderous boom, the two attacks collided together as destructive shockwaves gushed forth, engulfing this entire space. Jiang Yen was protected by the immortal light as his countenance turned ashen. You don't have the qualifications to speak here. If it wasn't for your elders protecting you, killing you would be as easy as stepping on an ant. Qin Wentian pointed his spear at Jiang Yen as he mocked. During these few days, Jiang Yen had already lost all face. Now that he was humiliated by Qin Wentian once again, he was so angered that his entire body was trembling. However, what Qin Wentian said was the truth. Given the combat prowess Qin Wentian displayed, he could even kill immortals with the help of the 9 immortality bells. He, Jiang Yen, wouldn't be able to withstand a single strike. If there wasn't an expert protecting him, a single strike from Qin Wentian was enough to kill him, Jiang Yen. Hence, although Jiang Yen was incomparably angry, he could only sullenly remain silent. He had no way to refute Qin Wentian's words. Sir, the location of the 9 immortality bells belongs to the Drifts Now city. Everyone can comprehend the 9 immortality bells here. It doesn't seem appropriate for you to ask us to leave. The city lord of the Drifts Now city suddenly spoke. As the city lord of a city, his strength was naturally extremely powerful. However, the capabilities displayed by Qin Wentian made him, as the city lord, not dare to underestimate him. It was just that Qin Wentian invited them to leave, which made him, the city lord of the Drifts Now city, somewhat unhappy. In the 9 immortality bells, who would have the qualifications to ask him, the city lord, to leave? In addition, the Jiangling king of the Jiangling country, Pei Tianyuan, was right beside him. Hence, he had to say these words. The 9 immortality bells, as well as the entire Drifts Now city, were left behind by the Drifts Now master in the past. When has there ever been a master before? The 9 immortality bells have existed in the Drifts Now city for countless years and are considered a miraculous realm. Naturally, only those who are capable would be able to obtain it. Now, I've already unraveled the secrets of the 9 immortality bells and received the will of the Drifts Now master to protect this place in his stead. What I'm doing is only right and proper. What's inappropriate about it? Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the city lord of the Drifts Now city, neither servile nor overbearing. His words were spoken openly and openly. The Drifts Now master not only wanted him to protect the 9 immortality bells, He also wanted him to protect the ancient Drifts Now city from intruders. The Drifts Now Master and Immortal Jade used their lives to refine this city. Now, it could be said that this city was already in his hands. You received the will of the Drifts Now Master. The eyes of the Drifts Now City Lord flashed as he stared at Qin Wentian. Yes. Qin Wentian replied. When I was in the 9 immortality bells, I received the will of the Drifts Now Master. I can borrow the power of the Drifts Now Master to connect with immortals, killing Immortal Foundation experts and protecting the 9 immortality bells. If there are still people coveting the secrets of the 9 immortality bells and want to search my memories, I will spare no expense and use my strongest killing techniques. Qin Wentian's voice was solemn. The spectators from afar were all stunned as they sighed in their hearts. Indeed, this young man had already obtained the secret of the 9 immortality bells and the will of the Drifts Now Master. No wonder he had such tyrannical combat prowess. However, this was only normal. There was a rumor since ancient times that if one could connect with immortality through forging a weapon, they would have a chance to ascend to immortality in a single step. It was just that no one had managed to do so even after countless years. This young man had already displayed his transcendent talent when he was being pursued by Jiang Yan and the other heaven-chosen of the Jiang clan. Not only that, he also managed to connect with immortality through forging a weapon, causing a divine weapon to appear before the 9 immortality bells. It was only logical that he obtained the secrets of the 9 immortality bells. There was no way to refute his words. The 9 immortality bells as well as the ancient Drifts Now city were all created by the Drifts Now Master. Since Qin Wentian inherited everything, he naturally had the qualifications to expel his guests, telling those who coveted the secrets of the 9 immortality bells to leave this place. How can you prove that you have obtained the will of the Drifts Now Master? At this moment, Han Dongjiang from the 9 Mountain Immortal Manor questioned. Back then during the banquet, he told Pei Yu that Qin Wentian didn't have the qualifications to oppose them or only death would await him. Evidently, under the circumstances back then, they viewed the geniuses from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture as equals and Qin Wentian didn't have the qualifications to speak to them. Hence, they naturally looked down on Qin Wentian. But from the looks of things today, his words back then were akin to smacking his face. When he saw the young man he looked down on earlier suddenly borrowing the power of the 9 immortality bells to become so powerful, he couldn't help but feel a trace of reluctance in his heart. Naturally, there was also a hint of jealousy in his heart. If the earlier battle still isn't enough to prove it, do you want to try? Qin Wentian swept a glance at him as he coldly spoke. Momentarily, Han Dongjiang snorted coldly, but he was speechless. Qin Wentian with a cultivation base at the 3rd level of celestial phenomenon forged an immortal-ranked weapon and killed an Immortal Foundation expert. Everything happened right before his eyes. Was there still a need to prove anything? Pei Tianyuan's eyes flickered. After a moment of silence, he spoke, since you have obtained the will of the Drifts Now Master, it can be considered a stroke of good fortune. Since the secret of the 9 immortality bells has been unraveled by you, I hope you won't bring shame to the name of the Drifts Now Master. As the sound of his voice faded, Pei Tianyuan turned and departed, leaving in a carefree manner. Although there were experts from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture who came here, in truth, Pei Tianyuan was the Jiangling County Lord. His strength could still be considered at the peak. And now, even he was willing to leave. Ji Kong cast a deep glance at Qin Wentian before he too turned and departed. After which, the Drifts Now City Lord followed after him. Since the 3 of them had already left, there was no reason for the other experts from the Cloud Prefecture to stay. The experts from the Jiang clan coldly glanced at Qin Wentian. After which, the leader flicked his sleeves and spoke, "Let's go." As the sound of his voice faded, the group of them departed. After which, the experts from the Myriad Sage Academy, 9 Peak Academy, 7 Sword Sect and the others all departed one after another. Not too long after, the experts from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture had all departed. As for whether they would leave the Drifts Now city or not, no one knew. But one thing was for sure, they wouldn't leave so easily. The crowd from afar was still there. It was impossible for Qin Wentian to expel everyone. Staring at Qin Wentian's silhouette, they drew in a deep breath, unable to calm down even after a long time. For the commotion caused by the 9 immortality bells, many major powers of the Cloud Prefecture had arrived. However, nobody could have imagined that the ending would be so shocking. A young man at the 3rd level of celestial phenomenon unraveled the secret within the 9 immortality bells, obtained the will of the Drifts Now master, connected with immortality through forging a weapon, killed an immortal ranked expert, and expelled the experts from the major powers. All these scenes were like a dream to them. Something that seemed impossible was actually accomplished by that young man. His arrogance, his strength of character, his imposing manner of facing the experts of the Cloud Prefecture single-handedly, all of these were deeply imprinted in the hearts of many. If this young man didn't die, he was destined to be extraordinary in the future. There were even some who were thinking, what was the background of this young man? What sort of power or clan would be able to nurture such a character? Other than the spectators from afar, Sharon, Pei Yu and the others didn't leave. They walked to the side of Qin Wentian only to hear Sharon speaking, "Brother Tianwen, you are truly too much of a blow to me. I'm still trying to form an innate connection with the 9 immortality bells and I'm already incomparably proud of myself for being able to cause the bells to chime. Yet, you directly connected with immortality through forging a weapon and even obtained the will of the Drifts Now master. My luck is a little better." Qin Wentian casually smiled, the sharpness and coldness radiating from him had completely vanished. "Luck, I haven't seen anyone with such luck in countless years." Mu Yan who was at the side also spoke, "Don't be so humble, talent is talent. Since you've already solved the secret within the 9 immortality bells, you should have some things you need to do right now, right? There are indeed many things I don't understand. I need time to comprehend them." Qin Wentian nodded. "Okay, the few of us won't disturb you any longer. We will stand guard at the side for you, feel free to speak if you need anything." Mu Yan was straightforward, the other two beside him also nodded. Although Pei Yu wanted to ask more, she endured it. The 3 of them directly bade farewell and left this region, only coming here to say their goodbyes to Qin Wentian. After they left, Qin Wentian drew in a deep breath and kept the divine spear he forged. After that, he directly stood in the center of the 9 bells and closed his eyes, allowing the boundless runic light to cascade down on him. 9 immortality bells, connecting with immortality through forging a weapon, obtaining the Drifts Now city. Qin Wentian's will entered the 9 immortality bells and an instant later, the image of the city appeared once more. This was a true city that could be controlled by the will of the 9 immortality bells. Although I can sense the location of this city, if I want to fully control it, I'm afraid I have to refine the 9 immortality bells first. The 9 immortality bells are the soul of this city. Back then, the Drifts Now master merged his soul into the bells. Qin Wentian silently mused. His perception drifted towards the city, the weaponized city that the Drifts Now master and Immortal Jade used their lives to create. In an illusory space, Qin Wentian's figure appeared in the airspace of an ancient city. This ancient city radiated boundless immortal light, as though the entire city was a source of light, exuding a dense immortal qi. Qin Wentian glanced over only to see that each and every building seemed to be constructed using miraculous methods, and contained incomparably profound runic inscriptions. This city seems to have a unique form. Qin Wentian's countenance stiffened. His will abruptly drifted up to an extremely high altitude, and when he looked down again, his heart pounded violently. At this moment, to Qin Wentian's shock, he discovered that this boundlessly vast ancient city seemed to be in the form of a human, resembling the Drifts Now master. The Drifts Now master used his body to refine this city, and this city was like his shadow. That is. Qin Wentian's countenance was filled with shock. That incomparably gigantic silhouette seemed to be protecting a delicate figure, firmly protecting her. Was this figure the shadow of Immortal Jade? Chapter 788. Qin Wentian stood in the air and stared downwards. A city in human form, resembling the Drift's now master protecting Immortal Jade. This scene caused Qin Wentian's heart and soul to tremble. Back then, although the Drift's now master had a conflict with Immortal Jade and refused to spend his life in the city, he wanted to bring Immortal Jade to roam the world instead. However, his love for Immortal Jade was so deep that it shook the heavens and earth. Qin Wentian sighed in his heart. Even though the Drift's now master sacrificed his life to refine the city, he still didn't forget to protect Immortal Jade. Most probably, Immortal Jade wouldn't be able to understand this feeling even in death. Qin Wentian sighed silently. He thought of Mo Qingqing and Qing'er. How could the feelings between them not be deep? He and Qingqing fell in love when they were young, in their most beautiful years. Back then, they were still naive and innocent, and Mo Qingqing was still the #1 beauty in Chu. That period of love was pure and flawless. There was also Qing'er. She had always been silently protecting him and had never left his side. She would always appear when he needed her the most, and even before she left, she still sent a supreme existence to aid him. Sadly, the heavens didn't grant her wishes. Although she was asked to do so, the Dongxing Heaven Emperor wasn't loyal at all and basically didn't think much of him. To the Dongxing Heaven Emperor, Qin Wentian was insignificant, not even worthy of a mention. He controlled the 13 prefectures of the immortal realms. Even the vast Cloud Prefecture was merely a single prefecture. From this, one could very well imagine how great the authority of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor was. He truly didn't need to care about a genius from a particle world. He could destroy a particle world with a flip of his hand. The Evergreen Kingdom Qing'er is from, where is it located in the immortal realms? Qin Wentian mumbled, thinking about that cold yet pure and beautiful maiden in his heart. Was Qing'er doing well now? Qingqing, who was in a particle world far away, after such a long time, she must be missing him, right? All of a sudden, a myriad of thoughts flashed through his mind. Qin Wentian clenched his fists tightly as his desire to pursue strength grew even stronger. Only with tyrannical strength would he be able to protect everything he cared about. He wouldn't be bullied, wouldn't be looked down upon. Pulling back his thoughts, Qin Wentian looked down at the city glowing with runic lights. This was a weaponized city, exuding a tyrannical aura everywhere. Over there, there's a human-shaped palm. If I communicate with the 9 immortality bells, I would be able to unleash terrifying attacks. Qin Wentian silently mused. His body descended downwards, the weaponized city created by the Drift's now master and Immortal Jade using their life force would definitely be able to unleash an extremely powerful combat prowess. Right now, he needed to familiarize himself with this weaponized city. This vast city was created after the Drift's now master and Immortal Jade spent over 10,000 years to gather resources. The entire city was filled with divine weapons, and every corner of it contained immense offensive power. Qin Wentian was immersed in the Drift's now city created by the Drift's now master and Immortal Jade. While in the outside world, the atmosphere in the Drift's now city was already in an uproar. The mysterious young man had supreme talent, connecting immortality through weaponsmithing, obtaining the recognition of the 9 immortality bells and accomplishing something that none of the geniuses of the past could accomplish. He created an immortal-ranked divine weapon and borrowed the might of the 9 immortality bells to kill Immortal Foundation characters, expelling the experts from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture. Everything sounded so shocking, but it was actually accomplished by a young man with a cultivation base at the 3rd level of celestial phenomenon. This caused people to feel disbelief and disbelief. There were many people heading towards the 9 immortality bells. They gathered far away and saw the legendary young man quietly standing at the center of the 9 immortality bells, basking in boundless runic light as he quietly cultivated. It was unknown what kind of energy he was comprehending. This man's name is Tianwen. He once accompanied Sharon to the banquet hosted by the Jiangling king Pei Tianyuan. However, he was deliberately humiliated and made things difficult for those geniuses from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture looked down on him, feeling that Tianwen didn't have the qualifications to speak to them. Tianwen couldn't be bothered with those geniuses and left the banquet in anger. Hence, he came to this region and borrowed the might of the 9 immortality bells to sweep away the geniuses, forcing them to retreat. I've also heard of this before. Those geniuses had no one in their eyes, but in the end, their comprehension of the 9 immortality bells couldn't be compared to Tianwen. After they were defeated, they were still filled with unwillingness. But who would have thought that not long after, Tianwen actually managed to forge an immortal-ranked divine weapon and killed Immortal Foundation characters. What a face-smacking. Especially for Jiang Yen of the Jiang clan, he doesn't even know where to put his face anymore. It's very normal. Those geniuses came from the peak powers of the Cloud Prefecture, which one of them didn't feel very good about themselves. They thought that they were invincible in the world. Not only for those geniuses, even for the Jiangling King and Tower Lord Ji, how could they not stand on the side of those geniuses? Those geniuses had powerful backgrounds while Tianwen was alone. Everyone knew how to choose their side. If Tianwen didn't have such heaven-defying capabilities, he would have long been killed by those geniuses. This is the cruel reality. Yeah, although Tianwen managed to turn the tables, such a situation is extremely rare in the immortal realms. In the vast majority of situations, those who couldn't endure the humiliation would suffer a calamity. This man is truly an exception. The people in the surroundings all chimed in, discussing Qin Wentian's achievements. However, they didn't know that among the crowd, there were a few young men who were clenching their fists tightly as a cold light flashed in their eyes. These people were none other than the geniuses who were being discussed. They coldly snorted before turning and departing. They had no way to swallow this humiliation. Time flowed by day after day, but the major powers still had no plans to leave. At the Drifts Now Inn, experts from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture gathered here. Pei Tianyuan was here as well. At this moment, the Drifts Now Inn was extremely lively. The place where the banquet was held previously was once again filled with experts who had yet to leave. Fine wine, delicacies, beauties and serving girls were all present. Everyone, are you used to staying in the Drifts Now city? Pei Tianyuan smiled at everyone as he calmly asked. These old foxes were all waiting here, unwilling to leave. The secret of the 9 immortality bells had already been unraveled, and most probably, these fellows were all coveting the 9 immortality bells. However, no one made the first move. They were all very patient. If you don't make a move, I won't make a move as well. In any case, to these experts, let alone a few months, even a year and a half would pass in the blink of an eye. It was the same for them to cultivate in the Drifts Now city. Luckily for us cultivators, there's no place in the world that we can't cultivate in. An expert laughed as the others nodded their heads. That's true. Recently, have you all paid any attention to that young man in the 9 immortality bells? That young man has always been cultivating in front of the 9 immortality bells, and I have no idea what he's comprehending. Back then, the Drifts Now Master was a legendary character, and it's said that he and Immortal Jade created an entire city. Since that young man has unraveled the secret within the 9 immortality bells, there's a high possibility that he would be bestowed a treasure by the Drifts Now Master. Pei Tianyuan directly changed the topic. A smile that was not a smile could be seen in his eyes as he stared at the changes in the expressions of the crowd. And indeed, the countenances of the experts all flickered as sharpness flashed within. My king, can you tell that this young man is in disguise? An expert from the Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor asked. Pei Tianyuan nodded. Since this young man is in disguise, he must have some secrets. Why don't we peek at his true appearance and see what sort of character he is exactly? It would be best if we could find out more about him. If that's the case, he wouldn't be able to hide in the 9 immortality bells even if he wanted to. An expert from the Jiang clan coldly spoke. There might be another reason for him to disguise himself. In the immortal realms, there are many people in disguise. In addition, even if you really saw his true appearance, given how vast the immortal realms are, it's not so easy to find out more about an unknown character. Pei Tianyuan shook his head. Just leave this to us. Jiang Yan interjected. Even if he had to pay a price, he was willing to do so. Tower Lord Ji has a treasure on him that can allow us to peek at his true appearance. Everyone, you can ask him. Pei Tianyuan laughed. In addition, if we can't find him, what do all of you plan to do? Do you want to leave this Drifts Now city? Actually, given the strength of the Jiangling king, even if that young man borrowed the power of the 9 immortality bells, he would still be able to kill him. An expert from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor spoke. Pei Tianyuan shook his head. If all of you are willing to do your best, you should be able to do so as well. It's just that the 9 immortality bells are located in the Drifts Now city. Since that young man has already unraveled the secrets within, as the Jiangling king of the Jiangling country, it would be too shameful if I, as the Jiangling king, directly acted to kill him. Wouldn't I be the laughing stock of the Jiangling country? Pei Tianyuan coldly laughed in his heart. How could he not know the intentions of these people? During these days, the experts from the various major powers have been keeping a close watch on the 9 immortality bells. That young man wouldn't be able to escape even if he grew wings. Although they didn't act now, it was only because they knew that it would be too shameful for them to join forces to deal with a young man. In addition, if more Immortal Foundation experts were to die, they wouldn't have any face left to face others. Hence, these people would rather wait for an opportunity. In any case, that young man wouldn't be able to escape from the 9 immortality bells. He was already a turtle trapped in a jar. Hence, these people weren't in a hurry and wanted to wait for others to act first. For those who could become immortals, which one of them wasn't intelligent? They were all extremely patient. Since this is the case, why don't we invite Tower Lord Ji to take a look at his true appearance before making a decision? An expert from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor spoke. Right, this treasured mirror has the ability to peer into the truth. I will lend it to all of you and you can head over now. Only to see that Ji Kong was long prepared. With a wave of his hand, a treasured mirror shone with immortal light as it flew towards the expert from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor. In that case, I will make a trip there first. That expert from the Battle Heaven's immortal manor grabbed onto the treasured mirror and directly soared up into the air. His speed was as fast as lightning and not too long later, he arrived in the airspace above the 9 immortality bells. He then aimed the mirror at Qin Wentian as a beam of immortal light flashed. Qin Wentian seemed to have sensed something. His eyes abruptly opened as a shadow appeared in the air. This shadow was none other than his true appearance. Qin Wentian furrowed his brows as a cold light flickered in his eyes. Seems like his true appearance was exposed, but he didn't care. He had already offended these major powers and killed Immortal Foundation characters. Even if he killed Jiang Kuang, it didn't matter to him. In the banquet at the Drifts Now Inn, the Immortal Foundation experts all turned their gazes towards that direction. Among them, the eyes of many froze. The Immortal Foundation expert from the Jiang clan directly crushed the wine cup in his hand as the killing intent in his eyes intensified. Bastard, it's actually him. The rage of the immortals from the Jiang clan towered up into the sky. This was a character who caused them to lose face to the extreme. Not only that, he even killed a genius from their direct line of descent, Jiang Kuang, in the worry-free city. Chapter 789. Right now, Qin Wentian was already listed as a wanted criminal by the Cloud Towers. Many cities in the Jiangling country had wanted posters of him. As one of the three main cities of the Jiangling country, the Drifts Now city naturally had wanted posters of Qin Wentian. Pei Tianyuan also started when he saw Qin Wentian's countenance. After which, a smile with deep meaning flickered in his eyes as he spoke. No wonder this brat wanted to conceal his identity, using a disguise technique to change his countenance, not allowing us to see his true face. So it turns out that he is none other than the wanted criminal of the Jiang clan. How audacious of him! The anger of the experts from the Jiang clan soared to the heavens. Many of them directly stood up and one of them spoke, "Everyone, let's kill our way over and plunder this brat's memories. Let's see what secrets the Drifts Now master left behind." I agree as well. Kill him. Since this brat is a wanted criminal of the Jiangling country and had once killed a heaven chosen of the Jiang clan, even if we act to kill him, no one would say anything. In addition, this wanted poster was issued by the Cloud Towers of the Jiangling country. It's only reasonable for the Jiangling king and Tower Lord Ji to act to deal with him. Pei Tianyuan and Ji Kong coldly laughed in their hearts. These old foxes still wanted them to fall into a trap. Pei Tianyuan and Ji Kong initially thought that the wanted criminal of the Jiang clan was just an ordinary third-level ascendant, hence they decided to help. But who would have thought that this minor character would actually cause such a huge commotion, causing them to have a whole new level of respect for him? But in reality, there was already enmity between both parties. In addition to the wanted poster, they had no choice but to act to deal with Qin Wentian. "Brat, you can only blame your bad luck." Pei Tianyuan's gaze pierced through the air, staring in the direction of the 9 immortality bells. Evidently, the Jiangling king Pei Tianyuan was already prepared to kill Qin Wentian, eliminating him from the Jiangling country to prevent any future troubles. "Let's go." Before the banquet ended, everyone soared into the air and soared towards the direction of the 9 immortality bells. Other than them, in the 9 immortality bells region, the spectators were all stunned when they saw the image of Qin Wentian appearing in the air. After which, they heard the expert in the air staring at Qin Wentian with a cold expression, "So it turns out that you are the wanted criminal of the Jiangling country, Qin Wentian. You once killed Jiang Quang of the Jiang clan in the Worry-Free Grass sect and now fled to the Drifts Now city. How audacious! Wanted criminal." The gazes of the spectators froze. After which, many people felt enlightened in their hearts. No wonder the image in the air was so familiar. So it turned out that this was a wanted criminal. His real name was Qin Wentian and he had killed people of the Jiang clan before. So it turned out that his arrogance was deeply ingrained in his bones. What a demon-level character. I heard that the reason why the Jiang clan wanted him was because he killed Jiang Quang in front of so many experts of the Jiang clan and even managed to escape unscathed. How long has it been since then? He actually came to the Drifts Now city and did something even more shocking. He truly can't stay idle. There were people who knew a little more about the worry-free city as they sighed in admiration. Their gazes were filled with admiration when they stared at Qin Wentian. At this moment, in the central location of the 9 immortality bells, Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness. His long hair fluttered in the wind as his countenance changed. An instant later, an even more handsome and cold face appeared, matching with the image in the air. Qin Wentian, who had reverted to his original appearance, was bathed in boundless runic light, appearing even more extraordinary. When he inclined his head and stared at the skies, the arrogance in his eyes was akin to that of a descendant of a divinity. "How handsome!" someone praised. "This demeanor, he's even more handsome compared to the image. He truly is an extraordinary character." Many people were attracted by Qin Wentian's demeanor. Even Pei Yu couldn't help but tremble. Qin Wentian, who had reverted to his original appearance, was not only more handsome, he had also become younger. Back then when she saw the wanted criminal, she already felt that Qin Wentian was wronged. It was clearly the Jiang clan who had committed atrocities in the worry-free city, yet Qin Wentian still chose to kill Jiang Quang to save his friend. His righteousness could be said to be as high as the clouds. Who would have thought that Brother Tianwen is actually Qin Wentian? Sharon mumbled. He didn't mind it at all. After all, when Qin Wentian was acquainted with him, it was impossible for him to tell him that he was a wanted criminal. It was normal for Qin Wentian to hide his true identity. That's right, I'm indeed Qin Wentian, the one who killed the trash Jiang Kuang of the Jiang clan, Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the skies as he spoke in a clear voice, as though he didn't care at all. At this moment, whistling sounds rang out unceasingly from afar as several experts descended, including the Jiangling king of the Jiangling country, Pei Tianyuan, as well as the Tower Lord of the Cloud Tower, Ji Kong. They stared at Qin Wentian with cold expressions. This was especially so for the experts from the Jiang clan. Their killing intent towered up into the sky. Qin Wentian, do you know your crimes? An expert from the Jiang clan coldly spoke. Qin Wentian calmly glanced at him as he spoke with cold arrogance. People from the Jiang clan, have you not lost enough face yet? You actually still dare to stand there and spout such arrogant words. Impudent. That expert from the Jiang clan didn't expect Qin Wentian to be so arrogant to this extent. He pointed his finger at Qin Wentian. You killed a disciple of my Jiang clan, Jiang Kuang. The entire Jiangling country is searching for you. Your crimes are unpardonable, you deserve death. Ridiculous, pathetic. Qin Wentian coldly stared at the experts in the air. Back then in the worry-free city, your Jiang clan used your strength to bully others, using the city lord manor as slaves to serve you. Among them, my younger sister was one of them. I wanted to bring my younger sister away but your Jiang clan refused to release her. Hence, I acted and killed Jiang Kuang in front of so many experts from your Jiang clan. You won't deny this matter, right? Why don't you all reflect on yourselves and say that I'm guilty? Where does my crime come from? Qin Wentian pointed his finger at the experts in the air as he spoke. I'm guilty because I'm not as strong as you all. Just like that day at the Jiangling king's banquet, the various geniuses insulted me but I wasn't allowed to retort. If not, that would mean that I'm guilty and wanted to kill me. Where does my crime come from? To put it bluntly, it's nothing more than a group of sanctimonious people like you who take advantage of your power to bully others. You bully those who are weaker than you, and if you encounter those who are stronger than you, I'm afraid you'll just wag your tails and beg for pity like animals. Impudent. An expert from the Jiang clan roared. The experts in the air all had expressions of rage on their faces. Qin Wentian's words weren't merely directed at the Jiang clan, they were also targeted at them. This young man was simply too insolent. They had to kill him no matter what. Insolent. Qin Wentian laughed. You all say that I'm guilty, but who's going to judge my crime? Ridiculous to the extreme. I say that you are guilty. At this moment, the Jiangling king Pei Tianyuan spoke, his words causing the hearts of everyone to tremble. As the Jiangling king, Pei Tianyuan's words naturally carried a lot of weight. Jiangling king. Pei Yu paled. Was this the Jiangling king's true intention to deal with Qin Wentian? You. Qin Wentian stared at Pei Tianyuan as he laughed. I killed an immoral person from the Jiang clan, yet you want to judge me guilty? The people of the Jiang clan used their status to bully others, raping women, are they not guilty? Just based on your actions, are you even fit to be the Jiangling king? You are merely a lackey of these major powers, are you even qualified to judge my crime? Who the hell do you think you are? Qin Wentian's voice caused the hearts of everyone to tremble violently. He actually dared to insult the Jiangling king as a lackey. How audacious, simply lawless. However, to Qin Wentian, he didn't care at all. From the moment Pei Tianyuan issued the arrest warrant, the two of them already had a grudge. If Pei Tianyuan didn't make an enemy out of him, he naturally wouldn't bear a grudge against him. However, Pei Tianyuan had always been helping the major powers to suppress him. His words earlier had clearly stated his stance. Although this was just a simple sentence, it represented Pei Tianyuan's stance. This meant that Pei Tianyuan was already prepared to kill him. If not, given Pei Tianyuan's personality, he wouldn't have made things clear at this moment. Since this was the case, what else did Qin Wentian not dare to say? Pei Tianyuan wanted to judge his crime. What qualifications did he have? For someone who wanted to kill him, would he still care? Do you know what you are saying? Even though Pei Tianyuan was insulted, he didn't fly into a rage. From this, one could see how terrifying his state of heart was. However, his lips curled up in an arc, as well as the sharpness in his eyes, all of these revealed the killing intent in Pei Tianyuan's heart. Of course I know. But do you guys know what you are doing? Qin Wentian swept his gaze over to Pei Tianyuan as he stood there with incomparable arrogance. Back then, I could already kill Jiang Kuang in front of the people of the Jiang clan. Now, I'm even able to connect immortal-ranked weapons, kill immortal-ranked experts, and comprehend the secret of the 9 immortality bells. Have you all thought through the consequences of trying to surround me? As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, the crowd in the surroundings gulped as their bodies trembled. These words caused the hearts of the crowd to tremble. It was as though there was a terrifying background behind him. Not only that, the things he did, as well as the talent he displayed, were indeed signs of something like this. Could it be that this Qin Wentian really came from a supreme power, and wasn't afraid of the Jiang clan of the Cloud Prefecture? Don't listen to his lies. Back then in the worry-free city, he did the same thing, but I didn't see anyone else appearing. Also, when he came to the Drifts Now city, he even concealed his identity. If he really came from a supreme power, why would he need to do this? That expert from the Jiang clan stared at Qin Wentian as he spoke. You are truly good at borrowing power, to be able to fabricate such a convincing story. The crowd stared at Qin Wentian only to see a smile of disdain flashing on his face when he heard the words of that expert from the Jiang clan. It was as though he didn't care at all. Fool! Qin Wentian mocked, but it's no wonder. For a character like you who came from an ant-like power, how would you know how a true transcendent power nurtures their descendants? Just like Jiang Kuang and Jiang Yan of your Jiang clan. Since they couldn't do it themselves, they chose to hide among the experts of their clan to seek protection. Such trash is nothing but a fake heaven chosen, incomparably weak, unable to withstand a single strike. If it wasn't for you guys interfering, I would be able to kill as many of these fake heaven chosen as I wish. You guys better think about it carefully. As the sound of his voice faded, the hearts of everyone shuddered. That's right, leaving aside Jiang Kuang's death, just take this incident as an example. If these Immortal Foundation characters didn't interfere and it was just a battle between juniors, given Qin Wentian's capabilities, he would be able to kill as many as he wanted. With such a comparison, the disparity between them was obvious. Saying that Qin Wentian was a disciple nurtured by a supreme power and came out to temper himself was extremely likely. Qin Wentian stared at the changing expressions of the crowd as he coldly laughed in his heart. Even if it was useless, he wanted to scare these people to death. Even if they acted against him, they wouldn't be able to eat or sleep in peace. In addition, he didn't lie at all. For a supreme power like the Heavenly Talisman Realm, could these people even imagine it? Chapter 790. The arrogance displayed by Qin Wentian deeply shocked the experts of the major powers. Even though they were from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture, they couldn't help but feel trepidation in their hearts. If he really killed an important descendant of a transcendent power, the consequences would be extremely terrifying. The immortal realms were simply too vast. The Cloud Prefecture was merely one of the 13 prefectures of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures. Although it was boundlessly vast, it didn't represent anything in the perspective of the immortal realms. In this vast immortal realms, there were many powers stronger than them. They couldn't help but feel trepidation. In addition, the words spoken by Qin Wentian also caused their hearts to tremble. In the immortal realms, there were indeed many major powers that used unique methods to nurture their juniors, allowing their descendants to roam the immortal realms freely, not caring if they lived or died. Such a tempering exercise would be extremely beneficial, and many major powers had done this before. Hence, they believed Qin Wentian's words. For a period of time, the experts in the air all fell silent, coldly staring at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian stared at the expressions of the crowd as he coldly laughed in his heart. He then continued, "A bunch of fellows who only know how to use their strength to bully the weak actually dares to flaunt their might here. How pathetic. Today, I, Qin, shall stand here. If you all want to kill me, just do it. There's no need to waste words. But for those who dare to act against me, don't blame me for being ruthless. If you all really kill me, just take it that I'm useless. In the future, when your major powers encounter a calamity, there's no need to be shocked." Boom! As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, the sound of bells rang out. Boundless light flashed as layers of light enveloped his body, as though he was already prepared for battle. This man is trying to mislead the masses with his lies, he's definitely bluffing. It's not difficult to determine if he's telling the truth or not. As long as we capture him and find someone proficient in soul-searching to read his memories, everything will be clear. At this moment, a voice rang out from the Jiang clan. The person who spoke was none other than Jiang Yen. When he saw Qin Wentian using his words to intimidate the experts, he felt even more unwilling in his heart. Also, he felt that this Qin Wentian was definitely bluffing. He wasn't a disciple of any major power and was only trying to scare the experts away. If these experts of the Cloud Prefecture retreated today, they would become a joke for eternity. That's right. I'll search your soul and everything will be revealed. The expert from the Jiang clan coldly said, "Even if what you say is true and you really come from a great power, since they sent you out to temper yourself, how could they possibly send out experts for revenge just because you suffered some grievances? Today, it's impossible for you to escape with such arrogant words. So much nonsense." Qin Wentian sneered. "I said that if you want to fight, then let's fight. Search my soul. I advise you not to do so. Otherwise, if you know some secrets that you shouldn't know, the consequences are not something you can bear. Your words are truly sharp, like swords. That mouth of yours can even kill." The Jiangling king, Pei Tianyuan, stared at Qin Wentian. "But no matter what you say, you are still a wanted criminal of our Jiangling country. Do you want to follow us or do you want us to act personally?" Ridiculous. Qin Wentian mockingly stared at Pei Tianyuan. "You, Pei Tianyuan, do you think you are qualified to convict me? Since you dare to speak such arrogant words, I, Qin, hereby announce that from now onwards, the Drifts Now city shall be under me. I, Qin Wentian, shall inherit the Drifts Now city." Arrogant. Pei Tianyuan's eyes gleamed with sharpness. The Drifts Now city lord beside him also had a cold gleam in his eyes. He was the ruler of the Drifts Now city. Now, a mere third-level ascendant actually dared to say such arrogant words, wanting to become the ruler of the Drifts Now city. Someone go and capture him. Pei Tianyuan glanced to his left and right as he spoke. Let me try and see how strong the energy left behind by the Drifts Now master is exactly. An Immortal Foundation expert from the Jiang clan stepped out. His body was bathed in an incomparably resplendent immortal light. His eyes were like blazing flames as he directly stared at Qin Wentian below. Good, this brat's arrogance knows no bounds. We still have to search his soul, just don't kill him. Pei Tianyuan spoke. Naturally, how can we allow him to die so easily after killing a disciple of my Jiang clan? That person stared at Qin Wentian. Although his tone was arrogant, there was a hint of wariness in his eyes. The scene of Qin Wentian slaughtering an immortal was still fresh in his mind. He only acted because he wanted to test how powerful Qin Wentian was exactly. Only then would it be easier for them to deal with him. Rumble. Blazing flames abruptly gushed forth, instantly transforming this entire space into a world of fire. The flames in the air shone with immortal light. These were immortal flames, the flames of Immortal Foundation experts. They contained an incomparably terrifying destructive might, and every single strand of fire that descended was sufficient to cause a calamity of heavenly fire to descend. Not only that, there was a faint black glow within the flames. Just a single glance at it would cause one's entire body to tremble. As for that Immortal Foundation expert, he was clad in an armor of crimson flames condensed from boundless flames. Occasionally, a black glow could be seen on the surface of the armor. How powerful, is this the might of an immortal's will? The spectators from afar frantically retreated. Even if it was just the aftershocks, they had no way to withstand it. As for those Immortal Foundation experts from the major powers, they were all enveloped by immortal light from their elders, protecting them. You guys come over here. An expert from the Wondergate Immortal Manor spoke to Sharon, Mu Yen and the others below. Their silhouettes flickered as they soared through the air towards the expert from the Wondergate Immortal Manor. Momentarily, that expert enveloped them with immortal light, protecting them from the aftershocks of the battle. Once the immortal flames of an Immortal Foundation expert landed on them, it would instantly incinerate their life force, killing them on the spot. Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the sky. He took out an immortal-ranked long spear that radiated boundless light, containing boundless might within. Kill! That expert in the air coldly snorted. Instantly, flames that seemed to originate from the depths of hell coalesced into a terrifying demonic beast that could devour the heavens and earth. It directly lunged towards Qin Wentian, who was below. Bell chimes resounded through the air as a supreme energy congregated on Qin Wentian, causing a 10,000-meter giant to appear on his body. Wielding a divine long spear, he directly pierced out with it. Bang! The incomparably gigantic long spear directly pierced into the body of the roaring flame beast, causing it to disintegrate into pieces. However, the destructive flames still continued to descend from the air, rushing towards Qin Wentian, emitting a low-sounding roar that struck fear in the hearts of those who heard it. Qin Wentian's countenance didn't change at all. Beams of light flashed, protecting his body. Even when the destructive immortal flames landed on him, they had no way to corrode it in the slightest. That fearsome divine spear pierced through the air once more, as though wanting to pierce through the heavens. The Immortal Foundation expert of the Jiang clan was long prepared. With a stomp of his foot, the 10,000-meter-long flames converged into a fearsome hell spear that pierced through the air. Everywhere the spear passed by, everything would be incinerated into nothingness. Boom! The long spear collided with the blazing flame spear. An incomparably fearsome force directly shattered the spear, causing the countenance of the Jiang clan expert to change. He could feel a towering might from the spear, as well as a suppressive might. This was the reason why his spear was so easily destroyed. Staring at the spear that was still expanding towards him, the Jiang clan expert retreated with explosive speed while sighing in his heart. He had no way to defend against such might. Seems like it would be better if they joined forces to deal with this person. But at this moment, a demonic light flashed in Qin Wentian's eyes. He coldly laughed, "Do you think you can leave just because you want to?" As the sound of his voice faded, the light radiating from the divine spear grew even more intense. The long spear directly broke free from the giant's hand, transforming into a terrifying beam of light that shot up into the air. Careful! The countenances of the Jiang clan expert changed. They all stepped out, but they were still a step too late. The long spear shot out a deathly light, directly piercing through the body of the Jiang clan expert who was madly retreating. With a thunderous boom, the Jiang clan expert died on the spot. Bzz. A gigantic palm directly grabbed hold of the immortal-ranked long spear. His countenance turned ashen as he stared at the disappearing expert. You actually gave up on your immortal ranked weapon to kill him? That expert lowered his head and stared at Qin Wentian. What a joke. This long spear was forged by me and it listens to my commands. Even if you temporarily keep it by your side, it would only bring you trouble. Do you think you can keep it for yourself? Qin Wentian laughed. The long spear trembled madly, emitting a terrifying immortal light, causing the people around to not dare to get close to it. Without an immortal ranked weapon, how can you fight? That expert stared down at Qin Wentian as killing intent gushed forth from his eyes. With a wave of his hands, the experts of the Jiang clan all soared down as their killing intent enveloped this entire area. You guys will know after you try. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with arrogance. The 9 immortality bells vibrated madly as a gigantic bell fused together, enveloping Qin Wentian within. At the same time, Qin Wentian closed his eyes. In an instant, the light radiating from the 9 immortality bells grew even more intense, as though wanting to devour this entire space. The bell chimes rang out unceasingly. The attacks of the experts of the Jiang clan slammed into the light screen of the 9 immortality bells, causing terrifying clanging sounds to echo out, yet the light screen didn't shatter. What a powerful defense. Those who had retreated far away felt their hearts trembling as they stared at this scene. Despite the attacks of immortal-ranked experts, the light screen of the 9 immortality bells didn't shatter, protecting Qin Wentian. Gotcha. At this moment, a crisp sound rang out, causing their hearts to tremble. After which, they lowered their heads and stared downwards only to see an intense beam of light shooting over, so bright that it could blind their eyes. In the depths of the earth, countless runic inscriptions appeared, as though they were about to float out. After which, the earth seemed to be undergoing a transformation. The surface of the earth cracked apart, peeled off, and was replaced by a new piece of land, one that shone with boundless runic light. This is... Their hearts pounded violently. Rumbling sounds rang out as countless people soared up into the air, staring in shock at the scene below. All the buildings on the ground seemed to be on the verge of collapse, transforming into nothingness. A brand new city was rising up from the ground. This heaven-shaking change also attracted the attention of Pei Tianyuan and the others. Their gazes turned over as their countenances abruptly froze as their hearts pounded violently. Was this the Driftsnow city created by the Driftsnow Master? The true Driftsnow city had always been beneath this city. Chapter 791. Ancient Driftsnow City. The countenances of Pei Tianyuan and the others froze as their hearts pounded. This boundless runic light seemed to be an ancient city that had always been hidden underground. We actually didn't discover it before this? The hearts of many trembled as their eyes gleamed with sharpness. This must be a unique method the Driftsnow Master used when he was forging the city, concealing it. The boundless runic light was like a speck of dust before this. Only now did the runic light flowed frenziedly, resembling a long river of runic light. The experts on the ground all soared up into the air. The ground was crumbling, transforming into a brand new city. The Driftsnow city of the past was being overturned and replaced. Such tremors radiated out to a radius of 1,000 miles. Although it wasn't as vast as the Driftsnow city today, it was still the size of an entire city. Legend has it that the Driftsnow Master and Immortal Jade spent their entire lives to forge a city. Is this the ancient city that the Driftsnow Master forged? Countless figures stood in the air. The ground cracked apart, they could only soar up into the air and stare at the ancient city below. The shock in their hearts was indescribable. So it turned out that the legend was real. The city in front of them exuded a terrifying might, as though it contained boundless transformations. This was a true weaponized city. Why aren't you guys acting? Qin Wentian inclined his head and stared at the experts in the air, exuding an incomparably cold arrogance. The light radiating from him grew even more intense as his eyes gleamed with an indomitable light. I've said it before. From today onwards, I'm the new Drifts Now City Lord. Without my command, none of you are allowed to come here. The Drifts Now City Lord turned ashen. The experts all stared at Qin Wentian. After which, whistling sounds rang out as quite a few powerful experts moved towards Qin Wentian. They even took out immortal-ranked weapons and launched attacks at Qin Wentian, frenziedly bombarding the light screen of the 9 immortality bells. Qin Wentian snorted. The 9 immortality bells started to revolve frenziedly, transforming into boundless runic light. The 9 immortality bells dissipated, leaving behind only a screen of light. Qin Wentian descended from the air, standing above the Drifts Now ancient city. Boundless runic light enveloped him, forming an incomparably resplendent armor around him. With a rumble, Qin Wentian's body grew even larger, reaching a height of 30 zhang. He was like a giant clad in resplendent armor. At the same time, countless winged runic lights shone on his body, covering him with a layer of dazzling golden feathers. At this moment, Qin Wentian seemed to have completed a magnificent transformation. His entire person exuded a divine aura. Buzz! The wings flapped, and wild winds howled. On those incomparably huge wings, immortal light filled the air, terrifying to the extreme. As for the vanished 9 immortality bells, they had already transformed into a screen of light that enveloped Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's will seem to be able to directly communicate with it, controlling an entire city. Rumble. In the air, experts from the battle heaven's immortal manor attacked. Their attacks transformed into towering war chariots that bore down on Qin Wentian. These war chariots were incomparably gigantic, and there was a silver spear in front of them. Even if a mountain was pushed over, it would be directly crushed. Boom! Qin Wentian stepped out. Momentarily, the runic light of the Drifts Now city illuminated the sky. A golden screen abruptly manifested, transforming into a terrifying sky bridge, blocking the space above him. The war chariots slammed into the bridge, causing explosions to erupt madly, yet they had no way to break through it. Kill! Qin Wentian roared in rage. In a certain direction of the Drifts Now city, rumbling sounds rang out as the earth shuddered. Runic light directly soared up into the air, transforming into an incomparably gigantic palm imprint that could topple the heavens and earth. This palm imprint directly covered an area of tens of miles, and on top of it, there was a resplendent divine glow that seemed capable of crushing everything. The countenances of those experts from the battle heaven's immortal manor drastically changed. Towering beams of immortal light radiated from them as their immortal foundations shimmered. Boundless immortal energy gushed forth as the war chariots rumbled, frenziedly blasting towards the palm imprint. The two of them collided frenziedly, yet under the might of that terrifying palm imprint, all attacks were shattered. The palm imprint directly smashed through. Rumbling sounds rang out as the immortal light shattered, immortal bodies shattered. Under the towering runic light, those immortal foundation experts directly died. However, the palm imprint arced through the air in a beautiful arc, directly flying back and landing on the ground. It was still a piece of land, as though it was a part of the Drifts Now city. There was nothing special about it, and if it wasn't for the runic light, one wouldn't be able to see anything strange about it. Is this the Drifts Now city created by the Drifts Now master back then? How terrifying! Everyone felt their hearts trembling. The experts from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture also felt their hearts pounding violently. Today, they could be considered to have seen for themselves that a city, a divine weapon city, a weaponized city, could be directly attacked. Pei Tianyuan fell silent. He stared at the city that radiated a radius of 1,000 miles as a hint of jealousy appeared in his heart. Such a powerful weaponized city was actually located in the Drifts Now city of the Jiangling country he governed. He actually wasn't able to control it, and right now, it was being controlled by an ant-like character at the 3rd level of celestial phenomenon, using it to threaten him. In fact, this person even boasted that from now on, he would be the city lord of the Drifts Now city, completely disregarding him. Qin Wentian, did he want to use this Drifts Now city to carve out a territory for himself? In that case, wouldn't he, Pei Tianyuan, lose all his face and be mocked by others? In his territory, there was a place he couldn't enter and was controlled by someone else. Not only that, the strength of this person was so pitifully weak. In the air, the experts from the various powers exchanged glances. Right now, not only did they want to kill Qin Wentian, they also wanted to obtain this city. This city was created by the Drifts Now Master and Immortal Jade. They didn't expect that this city would actually be so terrifying. This was especially so for the Jiang clan. They were originally a weaponsmithing power. If this city was obtained by them, they would be able to unleash even greater power. Not only that, it would also be of utmost importance to the status of the Jiang clan. It would be able to raise the strength of the entire Jiang clan to a higher level. Right now, the grudge between them was no longer an ordinary one. This city is truly a waste in your hands. An expert from the Jiang clan coldly spoke. He stared at the people in the surroundings as he continued, "Everyone, this man is borrowing the power of the Drifts Now Master's city to launch an attack. Let's join forces and kill him. Stubborn fool." Qin Wentian's voice was ice cold. In the ancient Drifts Now city, many places shone with a blinding light, blinding the eyes of the people. Chains of the city. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. A moment later, countless golden chains broke through the air, moving as fast as lightning. These chains seemed to be endless, appearing from every corner of the Drifts Now city, soaring up into the air. The people in the air glanced to their left and right as their bodies trembled violently. They discovered that all of them had been surrounded by the chains. These terrifying chains shot straight up into the sky, connecting the heavens and earth. The people of the Drifts Now city frenziedly soared up into the air. The sounds of the chains clanking could be heard as all of them rushed towards a certain location, ignoring them. As for the experts from the Jiang clan, they discovered that the chains were frenziedly coiling towards them. "Don't be trapped!" An expert roared. One of them took out a terrifying saber and directly slashed out, severing the chains around him. The other experts also launched their attacks. However, they discovered that the chains seemed to be endless. Just as they were chopped apart, they would reappear again and were frenziedly coiling towards them. A few first-level Immortal Foundation experts frenziedly unleashed their attacks, but they discovered that the number of chains only grew more and more. They had already formed an encirclement, blotting out the sky and covering the earth as they shot towards them, wanting to bury them. "No!" A person screamed and shouted, "Save me!" As the sound of his voice faded, those chains directly bound him, resembling golden snakes coiling around him. From afar, numerous terrifying chains transformed into long spears that pierced towards his trapped body. Chi, chi, chi. The chain spears pierced into his body. In just an instant, his body was pierced through by the countless chains. The chains coiling around him loosened, and the body of that expert fell from the sky. Not only an expert, in just a short period of time, several experts were also killed by the chains as their bodies fell from the sky. Jiang Yan was currently being protected by an expert. However, the boundless chains were extremely troublesome to deal with, forcing that expert to retreat. Jiang Yan's body was separated, and he stood alone in a space. His countenance instantly turned pale. Swish, terrifying immortal chains directly coiled over. In just an instant, Jiang Yan's body was bound, and he was pulled downwards with terrifying speed. An instant later, Jiang Yan appeared in front of a giant. This giant was over 10 meters tall and was bathed in boundless light. There was a pair of resplendent wings on his back, and this giant was none other than Qin Wentian. At this moment, Qin Wentian's gaze was like he was looking at an ant, staring at Jiang Yan with disdain. "Spare me!" Jiang Yan's body trembled. When he stared at Qin Wentian's eyes, he felt a terror that came from the depths of his soul. At this moment, his life was in the hands of Qin Wentian. How can this be? How can this be? Jiang Yan's heart pounded madly. How could this city be so powerful? Aren't you very arrogant? Why would you beg in such a pitiful manner? Qin Wentian spoke in disdain. After which, he stretched out his palm and slammed it towards Jiang Yan. Jiang Yan stared at the palm enlarging in his eyes as despair appeared in his heart. He screamed, "No!" Jiang Yan was truly in despair. He was a heaven chosen of the Jiang clan and had outstanding talent. He was heavily nurtured by the clan and was unexcelled in the world, looking down on Qin Wentian. But now, was his life going to be extinguished in the hands of his opponent? Miracles didn't happen often. With a thunderous boom, Jiang Yan's body was directly shattered, transforming into dust as he died on the spot. Qin Wentian retrieved the interspatial ring on his body and kept it without any trace of politeness. Since these people wanted to take his life, they should all pay the price. The Grim Reaper had already begun his summoning. Chapter 792. Not only was this the doomsday for Jiang Yan, the other arrogant geniuses were all separated from the experts protecting them by the chains. After which, they were instantly bound by the chains and sent to Qin Wentian. Nian from the Seven Sword Sect, Xu Luyao from the Myriad Sage Academy, Zurius from the Battle Heaven's Immortal Manor, Han Dongjiang from the Nine Mountain Immortal Court, and Pei Xiao from the Jiangling King Manor. These experts were all bound tightly by the chains and had no strength to resist at all. They stared in terror at the gigantic silhouette before them as their countenances turned ashen, feeling boundless despair in their hearts. All of them were extraordinary characters from the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture. They already looked down on Qin Wentian during the banquet, but now, their lives were in the hands of Qin Wentian. You dare to kill us? Nian's body that was bound by the chains trembled. Her face was still filled with a cold arrogance, but other than that, there was also a trace of fear, the fear of death. Qin Wentian, if you kill us, I'm afraid no place in this vast Cloud Prefecture would be able to contain you. You will die for sure. Xu Luyao coldly threatened. You will definitely not be able to walk out of the Jiangling country alive. Pei Xiao's countenance turned malevolent. Qin Wentian quietly stared at the threats of these people. That gigantic frame of his exuded a cold arrogance, there were no fluctuations in his eyes at all. The corners of his lips curled up into a mocking smile. Even now, you guys are still using your arrogance to mask the fear in your hearts. Qin Wentian's voice rang out. His eyes flickered with pity as he continued, a bunch of pitiful people, arrogant and self-righteous. Just because I'm arguing with you guys can already take my life. Now that I've already formed a death grudge with all the major powers, could it be that I still have the heart to reconcile? What a joke. As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, the fear in the hearts of these people grew even more intense as their countenances turned pale. They naturally understood Qin Wentian's words. Right now, both sides were already enemies, there was no way the major powers would spare Qin Wentian. There was no difference whether Qin Wentian killed them or not. Under such circumstances, would Qin Wentian spare them? What do you want? I can give it to you. Nian abruptly spoke, her beautiful eyes flashing with a devilish smile. Such a sudden change caused Qin Wentian to be stunned. After which, he mockingly stared at her, what a pitiful person. With just your looks, you are not worthy. Nian's countenance turned pale. Numerous chains pierced out as Qin Wentian's voice rang out once more. I've already given you guys a chance, yet you guys kept trying to take my life. In that case, all of you can die now. Not even in their wildest dreams would they have imagined that they would die here. His voice was like the chime of a death bell. As the sound of his voice faded, the sounds of death rang out unceasingly. These geniuses all came to the Drifts Now city because they wanted to unravel the secret of the 9 immortality bells. But never in their wildest dreams would they have imagined that they would die here. In the air, those Immortal Foundation experts were still frenziedly defending against the boundless chains. For those weaker Immortal Foundation experts, there were already quite a few who had already fallen. These chains spanned across the heavens and earth, destroying everything in their path. It was simply too terrifying. You are courting death. At this moment, a fearsome voice drifted over. Qin Wentian only saw a silhouette dashing towards him. This person was none other than Pei Tianyuan. Pei Tianyuan's eyes gleamed with incomparable sharpness. His countenance was incredibly unsightly to behold, his killing intent was extremely intense. In the Drifts Now city of his Jiangling country, a junior at the third level of celestial phenomenon actually dared to act so brazenly and even killed his junior, Pei Xiao. Qin Wentian stared at Pei Tianyuan with no fluctuations in his countenance. This Pei Tianyuan was truly powerful, even the boundless chains couldn't obstruct his attacks. But so what of it? He was already extremely familiar with this weaponized city. This weaponized city was created by the Drifts Now Master and Immortal Jade, there were simply too many attacks within. Puchi. A gigantic pair of wings flapped, directly slashing towards Pei Tianyuan. Everywhere the wings passed by, space itself seemed to be on the verge of being severed. Pei Tianyuan's silhouette flickered, evading the attack with lightning speed as he dashed towards Qin Wentian with his fastest speed. Only by killing Qin Wentian would he be able to unravel the power of the weaponized city. In this weaponized city, I am the master. Qin Wentian spoke with arrogance. After which, Pei Tianyuan only saw a bright light flashing as Qin Wentian's body directly sank into the ground, vanishing into nothingness. There was a terrifying whirlpool there. Pei Tianyuan stood in the air, but he didn't dare to continue his pursuit. He didn't dare to guarantee that he would be able to escape unscathed. Bastard! Pei Tianyuan roared in rage. His feet stomped downwards as an unparalleled force blasted downwards, causing rumbling sounds to echo out. However, the weaponized city didn't shatter. This weaponized city was an immortal-ranked weapon, incomparably tough. At this moment, a terrifying destructive energy abruptly gushed forth from the whirlpool, causing Pei Tianyuan's countenance to stiffen as he stared down warily. Numerous fearsome screens of light manifested. Those were golden lightning bolts that extended upwards, as though they contained an apocalyptic might. Even for Pei Tianyuan, he couldn't help but tremble in fear. Go! Pei Tianyuan roared in rage as he soared up into the sky. After which, a thunderous rumbling sound rang out as the golden lightning barrier that was brewing earlier exploded. A destructive screen of lightning expanded unceasingly, transforming into an incomparably terrifying golden lightning net. Everywhere it passed, nothing was left behind. All the experts frenziedly rushed up into the air. One of the Immortal Foundation experts was a little slower and was enveloped by the screen of light. His entire body was paralyzed, and after which, he was stuck onto the screen of light. The golden destructive energy unceasingly blasted into his body, causing him to tremble violently. An instant later, he no longer had any signs of life, he was stuck onto the screen of light. The screen of light finally exploded apart, destroying several Immortal Foundation experts. Those who survived stood high up in the air and stared at the destructive energy fluctuations as their hearts trembled. Could this city still be broken through? It was basically impossible. In fact, they didn't even know what kind of destructive might this city contained. What they saw now was only the tip of the iceberg. Qin Wentian's silhouette appeared once again. He stood atop the Drifts Now city, staring at the experts in the air with a lofty coldness in his eyes. There wasn't the slightest bit of fear or respect in his eyes. Am I so easy to bully? Qin Wentian coldly spoke. In this battle, the major powers suffered heavy losses. They initially thought that a mere third-level ascendant would be able to easily kill him. But they didn't expect that the ending would be so tragic. Qin Wentian, even if you can borrow the power of the weaponized city to defend for a period of time, are you really going to hide in there forever? Pei Tianyuan's killing intent towered into the sky as he stared below. There's no need for you to worry about this. If you want to kill me, feel free to do so. But if you don't dare to, just scram as far away as you can. Right now, I'm the lord of this city. Qin Wentian icily spoke. As the sound of his voice faded, numerous arrows shot out from the city, piercing through the air with the speed of lightning. Careful. Pei Tianyuan's countenance flickered. He stomped on the air as a rumbling sound echoed out. It was as though a gigantic mountain was pressing down from the heavens. The arrows directly penetrated through, yet they were all suppressed by the boundless mountain peaks. The other experts also relied on their own methods to defend against the arrows. However, the trepidation in their hearts grew even more intense when they stared at the ancient city below. This city was simply too powerful. With Qin Wentian hiding within, there was no way for them to kill him. In fact, the closer they got to the city, the higher the death rate. If they were the slightest bit careless, they might even be killed by Qin Wentian by borrowing the might of the weaponized city. We must obtain this weaponized city no matter what. The experts of the Jiang clan not only had an intense killing intent towards Qin Wentian, their greed towards the weaponized city was also extremely intense. The more they saw how strong this city was, the more they wanted to obtain it. Jiangling King, what should we do now? An expert of the Jiang clan transmitted his voice to Pei Tianyuan. The news of a powerful weaponized city appearing in the Drifts Now city would soon circulate. At that time, the ones who want to deal with him wouldn't just be us. Qin Wentian's life would surely be forfeit, but it's hard to say who would be the owner of this weaponized city. Pei Tianyuan transmitted his voice back, directly revealing the thoughts of the other party. Jiangling King, please lend me a helping hand. The expert of the Jiang clan spoke. After all, the Drifts Now city was the territory of the Jiangling King, Pei Tianyuan. Not only that, Pei Tianyuan had an extremely deep background. If he was willing to help the Jiang clan, the chances of them obtaining this weaponized city would be much higher. How can I help you? No one can predict what kind of storm would occur in the future. Pei Tianyuan spoke. As long as the Jiangling King mobilizes the army of the Jiangling country to guard this place and cooperate with the experts of our Jiang clan to seize this city, once we succeed, our Jiang clan would definitely not mistreat the Jiangling King. The expert of the Jiang clan spoke. Since this is the case, I will carefully consider your suggestion. However, you have to immediately inform the experts of the Jiang clan to come here. If we delay any longer, there might be unforeseen circumstances. Pei Tianyuan spoke. Right, the immortal sense I left in the Jiang clan has already been sent out. The Jiang clan is already mobilizing their experts. Pei Tianyuan nodded lightly. He glanced at the experts in the surroundings only to see them all standing there silently, as though they had something weighing on their hearts. This scene caused Pei Tianyuan's eyes to gleam with sharpness. He lowered his head again, staring at Qin Wentian below. This young man's talent was extraordinary, a rare genius. What a pity, he obtained a treasure that shouldn't belong to him and was destined to die for sure. Right now, an even greater storm was about to occur in the Drifts Now city, one that could truly engulf the entire Jiangling country. Most probably, the experts of the Cloud Prefecture were all preparing to head to the Drifts Now city. The Immortal Foundation characters of the various powers could all leave immortal sense in their sects and could instantly inform their sect. Right now, they were already doing so. Chapter 793. The experts from the various major powers all left, including Pei Tianyuan. The Jiangling King Pei Tianyuan, as well as the other major powers of the Cloud Prefecture, attacked the Drifts Now ancient city that Qin Wentian occupied. However, they suffered heavy losses and failed to conquer it. Far away in the air, there were still many silhouettes. They didn't dare to get too close to the ancient city. Once the shockwaves from the battle reached them, they would die without a doubt. This brat is like a demon, but it's impossible for the major powers to spare him. These major powers are all major powers of the Cloud Prefecture. Now that they have lost face, in addition to the temptation of a city, they would surely send their armies over to kill Qin Wentian. None of the experts here were fools, they could all guess what would happen next. This city was created by the Drift's now master and Immortal Jade. Everyone could see how powerful it was. Qin Wentian relied on this city to fight against the other major powers. How could the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture let go of such a treasure? Before this, the secrets of the 9 immortality bells were still undeciphered. Now that Qin Wentian had unraveled it, the experts of the major powers wouldn't be able to remain calm. Just those weaponsmithing powers would definitely not give up on this weaponized city. For example, the Jiang clan. Not only that, the enmity between Qin Wentian and these major powers was already fated to be irreconcilable. No one is allowed to remain in the vicinity of this city. Everyone, please retreat in case you get injured. Qin Wentian's gigantic silhouette spoke, his voice echoing out in all directions. Everyone was already prepared in their hearts as they retreated in different directions. A great battle was about to erupt. Qin Wentian naturally wouldn't allow others to remain in the Drift's now ancient city. He had no way to determine who was the one monitoring him. Brother Qin. At this moment, Charon, who was in the air, walked down. Staring at the gigantic silhouette of Qin Wentian, a bewildered expression could be seen on his face. Everything Qin Wentian had accomplished was simply too shocking. Before this, I had to conceal my identity because I was wanted. Brother Charon, please don't blame me. Qin Wentian apologized. How could that be? I can totally understand. Charon didn't mind it. It's just that Brother Qin, the strength you displayed this time around is simply too overwhelming. In addition, you've offended all the major powers in one go. They must have already used their immortal senses to inform their sects and sections. Within a few days, experts from all directions would gather here. You have to be careful. I understand. Qin Wentian nodded his head. In this kind of situation, for Yuan Iran to remind him to get off the car, it could already be considered very benevolent and righteous. After all, at this moment, there were many pairs of eyes staring at Qin Wentian with hatred. Including the Wondergate Immortal Manor. You have to be careful as well. Charon transmitted his voiceover. Qin Wentian's expression flickered before he nodded his head lightly. The Wondergate Immortal Manor was the power that Charon was in. However, Charon was after all only one of the geniuses of the Wondergate Immortal Manor. Also, the weaponsmiths of the Cloud Prefecture had nothing to do with Qin Wentian at all. Hence, it was extremely normal for them to covet this weaponized city. It seems like this time, the entire Yunzhou has been alarmed. Qin Wentian, this time around, I'm truly sorry. Pei Yu walked over and apologized to Qin Wentian. This time around, the ones who wanted to deal with Qin Wentian included her clan, the Jiangling King Manor. In addition, before this, the ones who issued a bounty for Qin Wentian was also the Jiangling King Manor as well as the Cloud Tower. It has nothing to do with you. Qin Wentian smiled at Pei Yu. You guys can leave now. Leave this place and don't come back again. Charon and Pei Yu sighed in their hearts. Qin Wentian wanted them to leave because he was thinking about them. After all, right now, Qin Wentian had offended too many people. As his friends, there was nothing they could do to help him. Brother Qin, take care. Charon clasped his hands to Qin Wentian. After that, he and Pei Yu departed together. After some time, only Qin Wentian remained in this vast Drift's now ancient city. The others had all left and appeared at the borders of the ancient city. They stared at this ancient city that was illuminated by runic light as the shock in their hearts couldn't be calmed even after a long time. However, at this moment, they only saw the runic light slowly dimming down, returning to a state of tranquility. That incomparably resplendent weaponized city seemed to have retracted its sharpness, transforming into an ancient city that had experienced the vicissitudes of time. There were pavilions, terraces, lakes, rivers, bridges, and everything that one could imagine could be found here. Staring at this ancient city that had calmed down, no one could imagine how terrifying the radiance it exuded before this was. Qin Wentian stood in the ancient city. He changed his robes as the 9 immortality bells appeared around him. Right now, Qin Wentian's eyes were tightly closed as his will infused into the 9 immortality bells. In an instant, there was no need for him to extend his perception to sense everything happening in the Drifts Now city. Borrowing the might of the Drifts Now city, he had the strength to fight immortals and even slay Immortal Foundation experts. Although he was incomparably arrogant in front of his enemies, he wouldn't be blindly arrogant. He was very clear that his own strength was still very weak. If it wasn't for the fact that he was borrowing the might of the Drifts Now city, any random expert from the other party would be able to easily squash him to death. However, Qin Wentian was never someone who would bow and kneel to others. Since he had already offended so many major powers, he had no intentions of easing things up. Right now, he was only thinking about how to deal with these experts. If the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture all acted together, there should be at least a few peak-level Immortal Foundation experts. Given the amount of power he could borrow from the Drifts Now city, would he be able to contend against them? In addition, there was a high possibility that the lords of those major powers were immortal kings. In such a situation, if there were really immortal kings coveting the Drifts Now city, how should he deal with them? All these were problems that Qin Wentian had to face. The city created by the Drifts Now master is truly marvelous. I need to see if I can borrow more power for combat. Qin Wentian silently mused. His perception sank into the 9 immortality bells as he contemplated. While Qin Wentian was cultivating, outside the ancient city, there were already many experts arriving. This was actually an army. Right now, the city lord of the Drifts Now city was leading the army of the Drifts Now city and they surrounded the city, not allowing Qin Wentian to leave. Other than this, there were also Immortal Foundation experts monitoring Qin Wentian. There was no way he could hide his actions from them. The actions of the Drifts Now city lord caused many experts to feel that a storm was brewing. The Drifts Now city was still as silent as ever, Qin Wentian was still cultivating. Finally, when Pei Tianyuan led the army of the Jiangling country over, the storm grew increasingly intense. Outside the ancient Drifts Now city, immortal light could be seen everywhere. Experts were as common as clouds, staring at the ancient city, staring at the silhouette of Qin Wentian. So many Immortal Foundation experts. Is this the strength of the Jiangling country? The hearts of everyone trembled. Pei Tianyuan was the Jiangling king of the Jiangling country and his personal strength was extremely high. He led an army of over 100 Immortal Foundation experts. In the Drifts Now city, this was definitely an extremely powerful force, capable of sweeping through everything. This time around, Qin Wentian is truly in for it. He can only sit here and wait for death, there's no way for him to survive. What a pity. Someone stared at the ancient city, unable to see Qin Wentian's silhouette, feeling pity for him. Such a lineup was merely the vanguard, surrounding the ancient city. When the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture arrived, Qin Wentian would have no way to escape. No matter how powerful this ancient city was, how could it stand up against the major powers of the Cloud Prefecture? However, Qin Wentian's cultivation base was only at the 3rd level of celestial phenomenon. Being able to cause such a storm in the Cloud Prefecture with his strength alone, even if he died, it was already enough for him to be proud. The Jiangling king, Pei Tianyuan, ordered his subordinates to spread out. After that, the Immortal Foundation experts started to surround the ancient city, wanting to surround it so tightly that not even wind and rain could pass through. And at this moment, from afar, terrifying sword chi could be heard whistling over. Inclining their heads, they only saw a majestic army flying over. This army was all riding on swords, their speed as fast as lightning. Immortal light revolved around them, and none of them weren't Immortal Foundation experts. This formation was truly terrifying, causing the hearts of those who saw it to tremble. The experts of the Seven Sword Sect have arrived. The hearts of everyone trembled. The sword chi from the experts of the Seven Sword Sect towered up into the sky, exuding a terrifying might. There were 7 people in the lead, each wielding a sword. Each of them radiated a sharpness that radiated from their bodies. 7 Sword Elders. Pei Tianyuan's eyes flashed. Seems like these major powers of the Cloud Prefecture were truly determined. The 7 Sword Elders of the Seven Sword Sect actually came here personally. Pei King. The 7 Sword Elders flew over to Pei Tianyuan and called out. Pei Tianyuan inclined his head and stared at the 7 of them. I didn't expect the 7 Sword Elders to personally come here. The Drifts Now city isn't far away from our 7 Sword Sect, we naturally have to make a trip there. Pei King, this is your territory, if you want to act against him, our 7 Sword Sect naturally won't contend against you. But since you don't want to seize it, we will act against you. One of the elders from the 7 Sword Sect spoke, his voice filled with sharpness and sharpness. The expressions of everyone changed, silently musing at the wisdom of this 7 Sword Sect elder. Pei Tianyuan surrounded the city, but everyone understood that it was impossible for Pei Tianyuan to conquer it with his current strength. The 7 Sword Sect first gave face to the 7 Sword Sect, allowing Pei Tianyuan to act first. If Pei Tianyuan didn't act, then the 7 Sword Sect would act. In this case, Pei Tianyuan had no way to say the word no. Pei Tianyuan silently cursed Old Fox in his heart, yet a faint smile could be seen on his face. Although I, Pei, am the king of the Jiangling country, I don't have much interest in the weaponized city. If the 7 Sword Sect is interested, feel free to go ahead and seize it. This city shall belong to the strongest. What a good, belong to the strongest. Since this is the case, many thanks to Pei King. The experts clasped their hands to Pei Tianyuan. After which, Sword Chi howled as a group of them directly slaughtered their way into the ancient Drifts Now city. Bzz. Abruptly, the entire Drifts Now city lit up as resplendent runic lights flashed. In just an instant, countless chains frenziedly swept out towards the experts from the 7 Sword Sect, wanting to isolate them from the outside world. Form the 7 Sword Formation. The elders of the 7 Sword Sect dispersed, each with their expert standing behind them. Immortal light shone as they transformed into 7 identical sword formations. The experts in each sword formation fused as one, resembling an indomitable sharp sword that advanced forward. The chains swept over, but they had no way to obstruct these experts. The chains were all slashed apart by the sword formation, like a hot knife cutting through butter, directly killing their way towards the center of the ancient city, where the 9 immortality bells were located. The eyes of the 7 elders of the 7 Sword Sect gleamed with sharpness. They knew that the experts from the various powers were already rushing over. Hence, they traveled day and night, and because of their geographical advantage, they were the first to arrive here. In that case, it would be best for them to use the shortest amount of time to end the battle and kill Qin Wentian. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.